Coming to you live from deep within an icy radioactive wasteland. We are the survivors of the social justice zombie apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy. Once more, wading into battle against the zombie hordes with Rantzerker number 24. Being a woman is hard!
Oh, it's so hard.
Why doesn't anybody care?
Nobody cares. Nobody listens to us because we're women.
Such oppression, so patriarchy.
Yes.
Exactly. I could not agree more.
Well, if it's one thing that our society doesn't do, it does not listen to women when they're victims.
Oh, not at all. It never does. Not
in the slightest.
Never says anything about women being victims. Never listens to women when they say they've been victimized. Doesn't do anything for women who are victims. Nothing.
Just ignores it.
Never puts hundreds of dollars into making videos about it on the internet.
I know. Well, maybe even thousands of dollars.
Yeah, thousands, tens of thousands.
I think some of these are actually almost professionally done, so you might be going for like hundreds of thousands too.
Oh yeah, that Dear Daddy one, that was probably a good $15,000 minimum.
Yeah.
Production, so.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, for a 5-minute video or whatever. If you look at what Cassie J needs to do the production for 1.5 hour or 80-minute documentary, and then you just take 5 minutes, and it's going to be about 15,000, maybe 20,000 that they spent on that. Fuckers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so why don't you cue that up, and I'll just do a little bit patter while you're doing that. So we have been joined today by Teal Bear. Bye, Teal Bear.
Bye, guys. Nice being here.
Oh, it's great to have you, and thanks for that little ad on your site. I don't mean little as in terms of not getting a large reach. I mean little as in like it was a minute and a half.
I'm sorry, are you trying to say that size matters, Allison?
Yeah.
Size definitely matters, especially when it comes to antlers.
Oh, yeah. And points, too, right? Because the multiple points indicate age, or...
They serve many functions, which I will not describe here because this is YouTube. I'm not entirely sure if I'm allowed to.
They're for pleasuring multiple women at one time.
Oh, well, we'll do it if you don't want to, and then you can blame us.
It's fine. That was pretty accurate, to be fair.
There you go.
It's be the shitlords.
It can't be too risque for freaking YouTube if it was in that Cyrano de Bergerac knockoff Roxanne with Steve Martin. And they were he was like, I could think of 100 I could think of 20 jokes about my nose that are funnier than that, right? And then one of them was like, oh, look, finally a man who can please 2 women at once. Oh, good. This is only 1:49. Thank God.
Well, yeah, no, it's actually pretty short, so it should only take us about 4 hours.
GG.
Okay, I'm just gonna start playing it.
Yeah.
Don't be.
Okay, I just have to pause it every once in a while. Don't be
so bossy.
Okay. Don't be a bully. That's what a boy would hear.
Yeah, don't be an abuser is what they would hear.
Yeah.
They would be pulled into an assembly and told to take responsibility for all the domestic violence and rape against women in the world.
Oh, right.
Gotta be quite a bit of a mindfuck for a kid that age.
And pledge never to harm a woman or a child. Ever, ever, ever. Like that one woman who wrote an article on Fox News about how her 3 sons were pulled into an assembly where they were asked to make that pledge.
Which I actually believe because I know that the White Ribbon Campaign in Canada, at least in Ontario, is going after, I believe, middle school boys. So a little bit older than this. But it's requiring them to go into a classroom or an auditorium, and it has athletes telling them to take responsibility for violence against women and girls. as boys, as little boys, you're going to bring them in there and force them into that.
Imagine if you were like a boy whose mom beat him.
Yeah, is it just violence against women and girls that they're concerned with here. Never just be like, no, just take responsibility for like violence and aggression anywhere. That goes for you too as well, girls. Just avoid the violence thing wherever possible. No, it's just boys. Don't do it. Don't
Oh,
perpetrate ever.
what drives me crazy is that when you actually have, because girls they know fairly early on that boys aren't allowed to hit them, right? Or even hit them back, right? And so when girls actually hit these boys, they're actually it's like an egregious abuse of power, right? Because they're the ones with the power in the situation.
Yeah, because they're the ones who can hit. Who've been told they can hit. Well, not told not.
They haven't been told they can hit, but they know for a fact that they can get away with it and the boys can't.
They're given the social cues, aren't they? Like any sort of media, even children's shows that you see will quite happily show women or girls slapping boys or men and never getting any sort of response. It's basically just like, no, you can be physically abusive towards a man and he will just have to hunch his shoulders and take it and then work out somehow what's upset you and fix it.
Yeah, because it's his responsibility to do that, right?
Well, the woman's emotions is always a man's responsibility.
Your emotional state is never your responsibility as a woman. It's just a wonderful thing. So
yeah, it's too bad. Most of our emotions, if you tell that to a person, that you're basically saying, oh well, here's your living hell. You're saying that you aren't responsible for your emotions. You aren't the one person who has the greatest amount of ability to deal with and sort out your emotions. You're essentially saying.
And all of it. Like this is the one thing that like all of this bullshit that feminists say about emotional intelligence and how girls and women have it and men don't. No. That's not emotional intelligence. Vomiting your emotions all over the place, no matter who's listening or whether they care to hear it, right? Just blurting out the all of your feelings, right? Yeah, throwing tantrums, crying, all of those things. That's not emotional intelligence. That's emotional incompetence. Right? Part of being an adult is supposedly learning to competently control and master your emotions. Not just let them out whenever, for whatever reason, anytime you feel like it, and inflict them on everyone around you. So yeah. All right, are we going to move on?
No, I just wanted to bring one thing up here. It's when they say it's like what was it? Don't be bossy. Well, have you tried not being bossy? Is it really so bad to tell a child you shouldn't be walking around just ordering everyone else to do everything for you as if you're the queen bee because you don't have the right to dictate the labor and the workings of other people? I mean, have you ever considered that might actually be a legitimate thing to say not only to your girls but to your boys, just to every child anyway? It's like, stop trying to just force everyone to do what you want them to do just because you know that you can potentially use the emotional leverage of, well, I told the boy to do something, he didn't, and then they inevitably do the, oh, I'm going to go and cry to teacher and say that you were being mean because you didn't do what I wanted you to. Have you just considered just don't be bossy? Actually is a legit thing.
You know what I think? We should actually change the language of it to make it less offensive, and then we should just be like, don't be cunty.
That works.
Yeah.
Well, you just changed the language to be less offensive.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to agree that don't be cunty is less offensive than don't be bossy.
Well, I think that they have a problem with the word bossy. We pick a different word, cunty.
Well, no, I think what they have a problem with is the idea that you can criticize a young girl for being
A tyrant, a dictator.
a dictator, an abuser, and for wanting to control situations when she really doesn't have the right, or she isn't in a position to have authority. Yeah, I don't think they want people to have the right to criticize that kind of behavior. Is that I don't even think that this is particularly gendered bossy. Haven't boys been called bossy?
Well, boys get called all kinds of things when they're acting like jerks.
Yeah, so essentially what they want is to not be able to criticize girls.
Yeah.
They
Well,
take something that might be slightly gendered.
because girls' self-esteem takes a hit from that, and and we can't do anything to damage the little fragile flower's petals.
Okay, if you give somebody authority, they need to be held responsible for what they do with that authority and managing it appropriately. Aren't you more concerned about, I mean, if you're saying that girls are supposed to be the kinds of people who can manage authority, then they should also be able the kinds of people to manage criticisms of their management of authority. And if they're not, then they shouldn't be in authority. So if girls can't handle the word bossy, they can't fucking handle any position of authority.
Yeah, no, they can't handle being the boss.
You cannot handle being the boss if you cannot handle being criticized as the boss. Because you will be. And the only people who absolutely refuse to allow any criticism of their authority are the kinds of people who should never be in authority. So this girl has just proven she should never be in authority. Well, she hasn't, actually, because she's been compelled by adult women to do this shit.
Yeah.
But,
The adult women who should not be in authority because
yeah, adult
it's
women.
projection, let's be honest.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Your dad will have to chase the boys away when you're older. Yeah.
I know, and oh wait, what is it that we say to boys? We say, oh, you're gonna be a heartbreaker, a lady killer, you're gonna really knock them dead, oh, you're such a handsome boy, oh, that my son, okay, when he transferred to his new school when we moved, and it was just at the tail end of grade 6, so it was just before moving from primary to middle school. But it was a brand new school in a different neighborhood, a much more, shall we say, diverse neighborhood, not just in terms of because our previous neighborhood was very, very racially diverse, but in terms of income strata, right? So, I mean, this is a school that's filled with kids who are living like way below the poverty line and kids who are living significantly above the poverty line, middle class kids as well, right? So, one of the first day of school, he comes home and he's like, there were all these girls who were giving me their phone numbers, right, and telling me I looked like Justin Bieber. And I was like, oh yeah, what'd you do? And he says, oh, I just threw the phone numbers away. Like, these girls seem a little out there. He's just like, I took their numbers, but I just threw them in the garbage because I'm not going to call them because they seem to, just, that was really weird, being swarmed by girls.
No, the thing is that you're right. This is not a gender. Again, this is another thing that isn't particularly gendered. If anything, girls who are, and this is what really gets me about the feminist line on this particular thing. There's a couple things that I want to get out. The feminist line on this is that if you are not, you don't get attention. You don't get positive attention for your looks if you are fat, ugly, of a color or of a skin color that I guess the fashion industry regards as less than attractive. I'm not saying that is my opinion. Please note, I'm saying that this is the opinion of the social justice and justice warriors on the fashion industry. They will say that that is lookism, that is fat phobia, that is racism, and that's wrong to not regard these girls as attractive. And yet when you regard this girl as attractive, you're also doing something damaging. So it's like damned if you do and damned if you don't. Are people supposed to stay in some sort of lukewarm state of just mild appreciation but not too emphasis on the appreciation? Like, where is the line? How do you do this? How is this done?
You have to be like those people on that planet in that episode of Futurama where he's like, if I don't make it, tell my wife hello. It's a beige alert.
I am neutral upon the issue of your looks. Your looks are neutral. I have a neutral response.
What the fuck? It's really like they really are all over the place on this.
Yeah. Okay, so feel there.
I'm gonna throw just 3 things out here. First of all, it's a compliment. Yeah. Why is this, first of all, a bad thing? So we're teaching girls don't accept compliments because reasons. Okay. Well, what is the male equivalent of this? Like, okay, it's like you're going to have to be beating boys off with a stick, or you're going to have your dad beating boys off with a stick. Okay, what is this telling us? Well, boys would first of all be told, well, when you grow up, we're telling this girl, you're going to grow up, you're going to be pretty. What do we tell boys? You're going to grow up into a rapist. That's pretty much the updated version of what you were saying earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest. You're going to grow up to be a sexual predator because penis. But the thing here, which I just really want to know, it's what was the exact quote? It was, when you get older, your dad's going to have to beat boys off with a stick. So when you grow up, you are going to have to be dependent on the protection of a man because you can't handle yourself. Good message. Great. Wonderful.
And also normalizing violence against boys.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
normalizing
still,
getting men to be violent against other men for your
Although that's
benefit.
a bit of a stretch. I mean,
Well, no, your
still,
dad. Your dad's going to have to beat those boys away.
Yeah, it's still just I guess it's euphemistic. Although a lot of dads, I think, take it a little further than. And also it's not really fair to constantly put boys under a sense of threat when interacting with girls. I would say. Anyway, Karen, I heard you pipe up.
Yeah, no, I think, like, because I had this problem and my dad was always very, very, I mean, he's never been the kind of overprotective dad ever, right? But because of the way he looks and because of the way he sounds when he talks, he scared the ever-loving shit out of every guy who ever dated me. Like, absolutely 100%, like, just terrified them. Right, and he was nothing but he was just his normal. He was not. My dad's not a very smiley guy, and then his face is all fucking fucked up from being. He was mauled by a dog and had to have his face reconstructed when he was 6, and then on top of that, he has one of those voices like Clint Eastwood from Heartbreak Ridge. So, yeah, he was just a very intimidating person, I think, to a lot. And guys sort of expect that a girl's dad is going to be protective of her. And a girl's dad is going to, give him the talk, you hurt my daughter, I'll freaking break your legs or whatever, right? And it's common. Like, this is what guys, when I was dating in high school, this is what guys were expecting to hear from my dad. My dad was not the type of person to ever say anything like that.
Yeah, let's finish this segment.
Okay.
You look so pretty.
Oh
my God, the bastards!
Check your attractive privilege.
Actually, honey, you don't. You don't really. You're kind of plain, actually.
You're neutral.
I hope that doesn't bother you.
No, of course not. It shouldn't, because she's totally oppressed by being told she's pretty.
That's right.
So let's just do the neutral response. Well, you're sort of average.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Does that make you feel better?
Picks on you because he likes you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, cause that's the thing. That's typical. There are boys who are annoying with girls because they like those girls, and vice versa, right? This is just telling this girl, like, hey, there's a guy who's bugging you at school. This is probably why. It's probably not because he hates you. It's probably because he likes you, wants to get your attention, doesn't know how else to do it.
Yeah, the other thing is that boys are expected to sort of tolerate girls being much more sexual towards them than pulling their pigtails.
That's true.
Running after them and trying to kiss them.
Yeah.
Girls will be girls.
Yeah, no, I actually remember a few things happening when I was in elementary school in that regard, of girls chasing the boys, trying to kiss them and stuff, and the guys running away. I even remember that, what was it? It was a fitness commercial. It was from the Canadian government or whatever, Health Canada, about fitness, and it just shows this guy, he's this little kid, he's like 8 years old, and he's just running, and he's running, and he's running, and there's the Italian music, bouncy music playing, and he's just running, and he can't keep it up, and he's just like wheezing, and he just finally stops, and then these girls catch up to him, and they eat one on each side, and they kiss his cheek, right, and it's like, stay fit, you never know when you'll need it, or something like that. That was sexual assault.
Yeah, in Bizarro Land. I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, that they will say that there's plenty of girls will be girls when girls do stuff like that, and people will say boys will be boys when boys do stuff like pulling girls' pigtails. There's no sense of just forgiveness for this stuff, and conversely, there's no real sense of actually recognizing when things are a problem. Tilder. Sorry.
Yeah, this entire point to me is just ignoring the fact that children need to learn. And sorry, but in some cases, social development is kind of a trial and error. It's like, yeah, they want to get your attention. They don't know how else to do it. So they're going to just interact with you physically as a means of doing that. You know, it's a means of forcing them to give the attention, and they'll do the same thing to you. I don't see why this is inherently a problem. Like I said, social development, you can just require a little bit of trial and error before you work out what works and what's appropriate. Why do we demonize this as like a default?
Well, it's also too. I think that the pulling of the pigtails and stuff is inherently. I think this is one way that maybe boys are exercising a certain plausible deniability, because they aren't allowed that sexual leeway, and because I think even at the age of 8 or 10 or whatever, they understand that they're much more likely to be rejected than to reject someone who's making an overture. So I think maybe the pulling of the pigtails is sort of a roundabout way of breaking the ice without actually coming out and making your intentions known, because once you do that, everybody's going to laugh at you, and you know, especially if she rejects you and goes, ew, no, I don't want to kiss, or whatever, right? Or ew, you're gross, then he has the excuse, you know, oh, well, of course she's going to say I'm gross. I just pulled her pigtails, right? And I didn't say I liked her, right? So I think that might have a little bit of something to do with that. I think boys by that age are sort of they're not under any illusions that they're as desirable by default as the girls.
You're thinking it might be like a chihuahua.
Like a sorry.
All I'm hearing is
myself. Oh, here, let me. I just got to mute myself.
Oh no.
Karen needs to store it out of her shame.
I was just saying, are you sort of implying that it's like almost like the sort of child version of the euphemism, like you know, like how it's quite common for a guy to say to a woman, like, "Oh, do you want coffee?" It kind of like gives her the ability to sort of, because we all know what like an invitation is. Oh, do you want coffee? We all know what that's code for, but they can quite easily get into the situation, and it gives them an out to be like, "Oh, I thought we were just going to drink coffee." You know, it's kind of like giving them that polite ability of saying, "I misunderstood your intention," and preserve their own honor. Do you think there's maybe sort of something like that going on there?
I think once the intention is known, it's out there and it can't be taken back, right? So just like everybody knows, would you like to come up and see my etchings is a euphemism for sex, right? And it was, you know, so well known as a euphemism for sex that like 50 fucking years ago in the New Yorker there was a cartoon where the guy says, "You wait here, I'll bring the etchings down," right? To his date, right? And so, I mean, you're sort of looking at it like when you have to speak euphemistically about these things, it's because you're the one who is at risk, right, of social catastrophe, I guess, or social injury if you have made your intentions explicit, right? And over the course of, you know, growing up, boys sort of learn that they're the ones who have to make their intentions, sexual intentions, explicit. But I think maybe this pigtail pulling that tends to happen when they're very young and just starting to be interested in girls is sort of a way for them to engage in the plausible deniability that women are going to be granted when it comes to sex, in the sense that they just get to sort of be flirty and, you know, and sort of give all this sort of passive signaling, broadcast signaling, right? And the man is the one who's actually supposed to come in with the focused intentions and make them sparkling clear, you know, and, you know, ask her out or whatever. I think maybe boys just aren't ready to do that when they start getting interested in girls, and pulling the pigtails protects them from the negative social impacts of overt and targeted rejection.
Well, also there's. Oops, got a mute again.
Oh, fuck's sake. Stupid Google.
All right, so the other thing that I would suggest is that there's a considerably more censure towards boys in expressing themselves sexually than there is towards girls. I mean, if two girls chase a boy down, or wrestle him to the ground and start kissing him, nobody's going, oh, girls will be girls. The boys won't get away with that, and they most likely have picked up it at that point in time. That if they make an overt sexual gesture, like girls do, that they won't be given the benefit of the doubt that girls are. So they don't do that. Instead, they code it in teasing rather than overt sexual gesture. I mean, if boys were given the same latitude as girls, then we would be totally okay with the idea of two or three or more boys chasing a girl down, pinning her down, and then kissing her. But they aren't, and they know they aren't. And which is why this whole boys will be boys thing is so hilarious, because we give girls far more latitude in expressing themselves sexually even at the protests of boys than we do girls.
That's true.
And feminists don't even seem to have a concern for that, but they will attach onto boys will be boys as some sort of way of normalizing rape, which is
kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. Let's finish the segment with the little kids, though.
Okay.
You need to wax your eyebrows.
Okay. Who's telling you that? I'm guessing it's girls.
Yeah, probably. I don't think.
Wait, you're gonna distract the boy.
Right, reverse it a bit. I'm sorry, I talked during that. Okay, yeah, that should be good.
Don't wear that to school. You're gonna distract the boy.
Don't wear that to school. You're gonna distract the boys. Or we could just gouge the boys' eyes out.
Well, some outfits are distracting, and school is an environment where you're supposed to be learning.
I think the men's rights movement should sponsor a boys wear your assless chaps to school day.
Teal dear?
Yeah, my first point is that really what was said? Or was it just you shouldn't wear that to school because it's, like, against regulations? These are two very different things.
I can understand the regulations are usually there in order to keep distraction down. I mean, school is not a fucking nightclub, right? And dress codes are such that, I mean, they at my daughter's school, anything that was showing your bra straps or the top of your bra, or a lot of cleavage, and a lot of girls do wear, they wear these sort of low spaghetti strap tank tops that show the lacy tops of their bras.
With a pendant in the middle of their cleavage.
Yes,
I remember that.
Yeah, skirts that if you if the skirt is not longer than your fingertips with your arms at your sides, then that's in violation of the dress code. And all of these things are actually to desexualize, at least to some degree, the clothing that these girls are wearing, because it is a distraction. It's a distraction for the boys. It's a distraction for the other girls. It is a distraction for everybody to have a bunch of nubile young girls, right? And in Canada, we don't have the obesity problem that they have in the States either. So a lot of these girls have extremely nice, well-developed figures. They're extremely attractive. They know how to make themselves attractive, and they're dressing in ways sometimes that are designed specifically to draw the eye away from your math test and toward her cleavage, right? And that's not what school is for. School is not a fucking dating service.
Well, the other thing is that you're right. This is not just a distraction for the boys. It's a distraction for other girls, because essentially what the girls are doing is they're like peacocks fanning out their feathers and competing with the other peacocks. So that they know that this competition is going on. So that now you have a room where you're trying to pay attention to learning of fucking peacocks with their feathers fanned out trying to say, look at me, look at me, look at me, and engaging in this competition. And it's not just going to be distracting to boys, it's going to be distracting to other girls because they're being invited to pay attention to a competition rather than their schoolwork. And yet these individuals seem to be okay with that. They seem to be okay with adults saying, hey, it's not time for you to be sexual now. It's not time for you to engage in sexual competition. It's not time for you to judge each other based on the beauty ideal. It's time to learn and judge yourself based on how well you can learn concepts and apply them in the real world. Like, why do these people have a problem with that?
Yeah, I know, especially since they're so against sexual objectification and the sexualizing of children.
I mean, and like I said, is it just that the fact that they're saying don't bother the boys? Well, they're also likely distracting and bothering other girls.
And teachers.
And teachers. And it may not even be sexual. It may be purely status jockeying, but it's still distracting from learning.
And parents. I mean, like my kids' high school was full of freaking Muslim students. They had 18 Mohammeds in my daughter's graduating class. Okay? So totally full of Muslim students, right? Who these girls dress modestly, right? And their parents kind of look sideways when they don't look sideways at me with my tank top and my jeans that that shows off my shape, but my tits aren't hanging out, right? It's very culturally insensitive in a school where you have a high population of students from different parts of the world, right, to sort of just wag stuff in everybody's faces in a way that's inappropriate, even if it was just a school of kids of European descent. I mean, it's just... You would think that feminists would get on board with this whole, it's kind of rude to be wagging your tits in front of a Muslim guy. But apparently not. I mean, the truth is that when you have a multicultural school, you have to figure out some kind of happy medium in order for everybody to be able to function together.
I'm actually going to throw something in there. It's quite interesting that you mentioned the whole multicultural angle. So I don't know how things are done in like Canada. I don't actually know where this video is aimed for, Canada or the States. You guys don't do school uniforms there, do you? Or not in all schools?
Not usually just in private schools. I think there probably are a few schools in Canada, public schools that might, or Catholic schools that might have school uniforms, but typically not.
But generally it's not. Yeah, well, here in the UK, we have school uniforms, just standard. I can't think of a single school that doesn't have them. Even when you go up to like sixth form level and there's no uniform, as it were, you're still expected to attend wearing a suit or smart wear, which for girls is like skirts, blouse, blazer. For boys, it's standard suit, shirt, jacket, trousers, and you can wear whatever, like shirts, ties, things like that you want. But even in the strictly uniformed schools where it is just like, no, you will have shirt, tie, blazer, trousers, all that stuff, there's still people going out of their way to try and bend and break those rules as much as possible. And the reason that I bring up the whole multicultural thing here is because when you get like Muslim girls in schools, they'll have their headscarves on, but those bits, there's no uniform for them. They can do whatever they like. Some of the Indian boys, they'll wear like bracelets, which I can't remember what they're called. I think it's Hindus that do that, but I'm not entirely sure. Like they'll wear ribbon bracelets or gold bangles as sort of signifying the faith and whatnot.
Right.
And they will use those as a means of flouting the uniform, because obviously if you're like Christian in those schools, you're not allowed to do any of those things. If you're, say, a Jew and you're in those schools, you may be not allowed to do those things, although some will try and get away with wearing, I can't remember the name of the cap now.
Yarmulke?
The yarmulke? That's the one, yeah. They'll try and, sometimes they'll try and get away with wearing that, but generally they won't, because it's just easier not to. And they'll use these little accessories to intentionally sort of break the uniform, which you know you couldn't get away with it. Like if you're sort of a regular schoolboy, you are banned from wearing like any jewelry. You are maybe permitted to wear a watch if you are like a Christian or an atheist. But if you're of something else, then you're allowed to do that. If you're, say, a Muslim girl, you're allowed to wear headscarves, whereas you're not in there. And they will use those things to intentionally sort of flout the uniform rule and do the whole social status jostling thing that was going on earlier. And that then just sort of causes all sorts of social problems, because you then end up with like the atheist kids and the Christian kids looking at it and thinking, well, why aren't we allowed to do this sort of thing?
Why
And
aren't
there's
you
even
St. Christopher's medal or a crucifix or something like that?
yeah, which in some schools is actually expressly banned because it might offend ethnic minority students or something like that. It's like, well, you're allowed to express your faith. We can't say a Christian express theirs. Now, I'm not in favor of any. Well, I just don't like the existence of religion as it is. But it's kind of like we either ban all expression of it in schools, or you permit anyone to express theirs in schools anyway. You can't do this multi-layering thing where it's like, no, some of you are allowed to, some of you aren't, because it builds up inevitable resentment and then social problems as a result.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and here's the thing, right? With the dress codes as far as girls go in schools here, there is no law saying, there is no rule saying you're too covered up, right, in the schools here. Not with girls, not even with boys, right? But there are certain things. A lot of the boys are told that they can't wear muscle shirts, and the reason why is because it intimidates other students. Right, and you can't wear anything depicting anything illegal. So you can't wear a legalized marijuana T-shirt, and you can't wear anything that's beer brand paraphernalia, like Miller Time or Budweiser T-shirts or anything like that. You can't wear anything that depicts anything that would be illegal for you to do at the age that you are, right? Or illegal for you to do, period, right? So it's like, personally, I mean, I am really for trying to be sensitive to people of other cultures, but it does have to go both ways. It does have to also go towards the dominant culture. The dominant culture needs to be respected as well. And that means that if a Sikh can wear his turban, and a Muslim girl can wear her headscarf, and all of those things, then my daughter, if she was Christian, should be able to wear a crucifix. She should be able to wear a St. Christopher's medallion. She should be able to wear a Jesus Loves You T-shirt. All of that.
Yes. And
So.
let's like we're at like 20 seconds in, 40 minutes.
All right.
It's usually very long.
Okay. God, I gotta back this up now.
Back
I
it
hate
up.
these videos
Beep, beep, beep.
Oh, you like video games? The boys must love that. Don't.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's essentially they're.
so you share a common interest with boys that most girls don't share.
The boys must love that. That's horrible.
I know. It's like,
is this really what women are supposed to be, cut at the knees over?
I think
Or
so.
Girls?
Their petals are wilting as we speak.
They're delicate petals. Okay, let's finish.
That's what the piano music is telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Be a slut. Nope.
Don't be a slut.
Yeah, I think that was it. Let's do it till we get through the younger ones.
Guy wants to have sex with a virgin. How?
Okay, that's good. I think that's a good place to stop. I think the last one was a guy doesn't want to have sex with a virgin. Okay.
No, that's why my response was, "You what, mate?" It's like, no, actually, quite a lot of guys are okay with that.
I don't know of any guys that. I mean, the only guy that ever refused to have sex with me when I told him I was a virgin was, I was 15 and he was 21, and he was just like, "Okay, all right, this is done. We're done here."
Well, I think there's some extenuating circumstances.
I think so. I really wanted that guy though. Uh-oh. Did her air compressor turn on?
No, if you knew the air compressor turned on, everybody would be diving for cover. That's our water softener. Apologize, folks.
Okay. Well, honestly, guys don't really have a whole lot of expectations as far as virginity or not virginity in girls. They're just happy to have a girl to have sex with most of the time, that a girl that they like to
If
have
you're a
sex with.
teenager, yes, you don't care. If you're a boy in your teens, it's like I got laid. Yes.
Yeah,
They don't
no,
give a
and
fuck who it's with.
well, a lot of them do give a fuck who it's with, but
Not whether she's a virgin or not. It's just kind of like I got laid. Booyah.
yeah, no, it's like they just. I mean, the only thing about the virgin thing that I've ever really seen guys ever say is that they feel like it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know if the sound of the water softener is
Yeah.
really
To be
annoying.
somebody first feels like a really big responsibility for them. So, like they feel more of an obligation to make sure it's special, or to make sure it's really good, or they worry that she's gonna have pain, or they worry that they're gonna fuck up and turn the woman off sex forever, or whatever, right? It's like when you're the first one to sort of be the person that is, yeah, it's a big, I think a lot of guys angst about that.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that there's not really a shame towards being a virgin if you're a girl. There definitely is if you're a boy, though.
Hmm. But I love
Um,
it. Like the first girl is like, "Don't be a slut," and then the second girl is, "Nobody wants to have sex with a virgin." And it's
You must be
like,
lukewarm. You must be a semi-virgin. It's the
yes,
only way, clearly.
yes.
I'm in half
The
torn.
solution is no one wants to have sex with a virgin, so you can only do anal.
Excellent.
All right,
I'm,
we've found the solution here.
I think that's a good strategy for all women. Just, from my own personal experience. And just think of how many lawyers we'll have, because that's how lawyers are conceived, isn't it?
And Karen's not speaking with any self-interest at all in this.
Yeah, none whatsoever. No, I don't have to speak with self-interest in this, as like but
How do
anyhow.
people get this stupid and this blind? Because now they're taking issues that predominantly are faced by men, which is virginity shaming, and they're saying that they're faced by women.
Yeah, well, and that it's something that women hear, but men don't.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, you don't even have to get into the idea that it's more prevalent when it's directed at men. It's
Well, I guess
definitely not something that women only hear. Anyway,
I guess
Beer wants to get in here, so.
Yeah, I'm just going to segue us nicely into a joke here. They're just saying it's like no one wants to have sex with a virgin. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but over the past few years, we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of people blowing themselves up specifically to have sex with 72 of them.
And I'd also like to remind you how many girl or young women have sold their virginity for a great deal of money on a
On the
place like
internet, yes.
on
That
the
happened on
internet.
eBay.
That's a thing. I think, yeah, you guys drop this one because it's inane. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's moronic.
Also, oh God, who was it? There was somebody who did a study or a survey, right? Asking men and women how much that they would auction their virginity off for. And for women, the average was something like, I don't know, like $1 million or something like that. And for guys, it was like $500.
Yeah. And you know what? I want to point out something else. Aside from the ridiculousness of this virgin shaming and saying that women face it disproportionately relative to men, which is ridiculous. But also, you notice how they're using these young girls. I mean, this individual, I'm not so sure if she's that young, but these young girls, they're trotting them out in this victim pageant. And these are the same women who, if they saw an actual child beauty pageant, would probably burst a blood vessel somewhere deep in their brain. And they're doing this like oh my God, all those toddler beauty queens, they're having this ideal forced on them. They're being forced to adhere to the beauty ideal, but yet it's okay to get them started young when it comes to being a victim of inane shit, no less. That's fine. That's okay. You know, it's a beauty ideal. Oh, that's a problem. Putting girls in restrictive gender roles. But this is okay. This is okay. And the victimhood that they're trotting out is so fucking trivial. They're teaching these girls to be laid low by a fucking pea. And people have heard my pea rant before.
Yeah, the pea under the 14 mattresses.
Yeah, this isn't even a pea under 14 mattresses. This is like a microscopic, like a nanomolecule of a pea under 1 billion mattresses. And they simultaneously want to say and assert that these girls are going to be totally laid low by this shit, but they're just as capable as boys.
I know. They're just as fit for leadership.
They're just as fit for leadership.
So fragile.
That's why masculinity's so fragile.
Well, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I mean, none of this constitutes anything even worth batting an eyelash at.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to simultaneously assert that girls need to be coddled because of bullshit like this. Well, you can't simultaneously assert that they are just as capable as boys of doing things that are emotionally difficult, like leadership, like being a soldier, like doing anything that requires any sort of ability to ignore the fact that you're being hurt or that you're under stress.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
How much did you have to drink that night? Well, what?
Oh, we're getting into this now.
How much did you have to drink that night? You know, because it's important. Because, see, we need to know if you had so much to drink that you couldn't possibly have consented to the sex. We have to know whether you just had X amount to drink, just enough to damage your ability to recollect exactly what happened to you and to damage your credibility as a witness or complainant. This is important stuff. We need to know how much you had to drink that night.
Go ahead, Teal.
Yeah, the title of this video is 48 Things Women Hear in a Lifetime That Men Just Don't. Right, men in the chat, how many times have you woken up with a cracking fucking headache and a dry mouth, and you've woken up in a room with all your mates because you've just had a fucking banging out party, and they've just said, dude, how much did you drink last night? This is a common occurrence. How is this a thing that men do not hear? Context is important, people.
Yeah, no, and it's like also how many times have you woken up next to Coyote Ugly, or next to Alice the Goon, or next to that 55-year-old excruciatingly overweight mother of some random friend of yours who happened to be at the party, and your friends found out about it and laughed at you and went, dude, how much did you have to drink?
Not something that only happens to women.
Yeah, except for with women, people usually aren't laughing about it.
Yeah.
It's taken very seriously when it's asked of a woman. When it's asked of a man, it's just mocking him. When it's asked of a woman, it's, well, we need to ascertain whether or not we need to lock some guy up for several years in a room where he'll never see sunlight.
Exactly. Just a second, guys.
She's dealing with her bitch right now.
Fair enough.
That's what the clicking sound is. It's the dog's nails on the floor. And we can't actually advance the video until Karen comes back. So we're sort of looking at this girl's O face for the discernible future.
I'm
She
sorry.
looks like the chicken lady, actually.
My dog was literally jumping halfway to the fucking roof, wanting to go out, even though I let her out before we started.
Hey, Karen, I was suggesting that this is the girl's O face and that she looks a little like the chicken lady.
She does, kinda.
The chicken lady. I don't think Teal. Have you ever watched Kitties in the Hall?
You what, mate?
I would take
We'll
that
have
as a
to
no.
send you. We'll have to
We'll
send
send you the clip.
when we're done. Or maybe
Yeah.
we'll watch one as a bonus if we get through this before the second hour is up.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Okay.
All right.
We'll put that on
Okay.
the agenda.
All right.
Introduce
Playing now.
Teal Deer to the chicken lady.
What were
Delightful.
you wearing that night? Why are you
What were you wearing that night? Okay.
We know.
getting so
Why are you getting so emotional? Why are you getting so emotional, honey?
Oh, he's such a bitch.
Wait, sorry? You were saying, Allison?
Oh, sorry, I had the mute on. I was just saying that you're such a bitch.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, like, no, it's just, I mean, like, there are times, the Rantzerker is a space reserved for people yelling. And, I mean, we've done very little yelling, actually, in this particular one. But there are times and places for you to get all emotional.
To be a bitch.
Or to get hysterical, right? To just lose it and start bawling or whatever, right? There are times and places for that. In the middle of a crisis, probably not a good time. When you're getting your own head stitched up, probably not a good time unless you want the doctor to sew his sleeve to your head. You know, like these are things that I taught my kids very young, right? That emotions have their place. It's really also a good idea to learn how to keep them to yourself when it's not the time and place to express them. So I just, why are you getting so emotional? Like, yeah, no, why are you?
Why
Is
are
this a
you Why are you making it illegitimate to have any criticism of a woman's reaction to anything anywhere? This is my question. Like, yeah, women can be too emotional. Have you ever seen what we do to men when they get too emotional? Okay, Teal Deer, go ahead.
Yeah, having an emotional thing. It's like someone just asking you why you're getting so emotional. It's like, okay, have you ever considered that maybe actually the problem is with you, that you are getting too emotional over something that doesn't matter? And can I also just point out again, this is not. It's the sort of thing they're pointing out to women. Why are you getting too emotional? Because having a heightened emotional state is bad for women supposedly in this thing, or that's something that people complain about. Why? But hang on, don't we live in a society where it's like men are just like told, no, you're not allowed to have a valid emotion ever, as they
Yeah,
drink from their male tears mugs and strut around in their male tears t-shirts?
yeah. Agreed. And you know, that man who's getting emotional in the corner of a restaurant, everybody just assumes he's drunk and they stay away. They don't tell him, they don't ask him, why are you getting so emotional, man? They just like fucking give him about, I don't know, a 50-foot radius and they don't go anywhere near him.
Yeah, emotional woman, we're concerned about you. Why are you getting so emotional? Emotional man, he's probably gonna kill you.
Yeah, no, we're just gonna pretend he's not here. Just pretend he's not here. Okay, back away slowly. Let's all go eat at another restaurant. So
But can I
that's
also just
how.
point out, if a man is getting emotional, it's probably not going to be, even if someone does ask him a question, it's not going to be like, why are you getting so emotional in general? It'll usually be something like, why are you getting so angry?
Yeah. Or what's wrong with you, man?
Yeah. How are you broken? How are you malfunctioning?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. All right, moving on.
being such an attention whore. Don't
Okay, to say that with that look on her face, she kind of is being an attention whore. I'm saying. Just saying. Just
Duck Lip City.
yeah, well, I mean, well, this chick, yeah, but I mean, like this kind of look at her, you know. I mean, she's like, you kind of being an attention whore. Um, there are women who are attention whores. I'm sorry, but there are.
Yeah, no, there are men who are attention whores. That doesn't mean that you can't. I mean, there can be no negative criticism of women because criticism means growth. We can't have women grow out of some sort of neophyte fetus-brained state. in which they can be easily manipulated with promises of self-righteousness into buying products.
You know what I love is how like I go and I make my videos and stuff and I do a half-assed job of production values and I don't really like even look at
And I'm trying to improve that.
in I don't even really look at myself in the mirror before I turn the camera on and uh, and I get called an attention whore all the time by feminists.
Well, that's because you pander to men by telling them that they're vulnerable, and men love that shit.
Oh, I know they do. They love hearing that.
Okay, Teal.
Well, they do love hearing that, but they just love hearing it without all of the judgments.
Well, I guess a select group of guys are okay with it, but I think it actually takes a particular type of man who's, oh yeah.
I've had emails from a lot of sort of very traditionally masculine men who and conversations with traditionally masculine men who are really okay with it. They tend to focus on the lack of appreciation that they get for the sacrifices they make, rather than how the sacrifices they're expected to make them vulnerable. But they still send me a lot of positive feedback.
Well, maybe that sort of quality where, strangely enough, in more traditional societies, men and women tend to do a lot of the similar things.
Yeah.
Okay, Teal Dare, go ahead. Making space for you.
Just, I need my safe space, guys. Stop oppressing me just because I'm a deer of color. It's terrible. Anyway, going on to this point here, it's okay. Stop being such an attention whore. Again, a little bit of social conditioning here. Why is it bad to tell a woman that it is not always appropriate for her to try to force herself to be the center of attention in every situation? Why is that a bad thing? It's not always appropriate for one person to be the center of attention in every situation. Sometimes events are done for other people, or other people require that attention. How is telling someone that's like, no, it's not necessarily a good thing for you to attempt to insert yourself into the limelight everywhere you go? Basically,
That's
just
why,
like, stop being a narcissist. Why is that a bad message?
That's why we have censor duck.
Yes, you narcissist Karen. You're inserting yourself into everybody's sentences. And despite the fact that you think our hips say yes, our lips say no.
Okay, no, your stupid duck says no.
Yeah, our squeaking says no. But
fucking hate that duck.
but the thing is that the other thing that I wanted to point out is attention whores. Where do you get the idea that you don't exist unless people are paying? Karen, always have to make it about yourself with a damn echo. You don't exist if people are not paying attention to you, because that's really the mentality behind an attention whore. It's like they cease to exist the moment like the limelight is not upon them. And that is almost like a personal hell, I would imagine.
It's interesting. It's almost like you're thinking of saying to someone, here's an idea. Be self-sufficient and don't require the validation of others. Such a terrible message to give to girls.
Yeah, like don't expect that other people's attention is gonna be necessarily what validates you. Learn to give yourself what you need emotionally. Learn to be satisfied with hitting your own goals and targets. Again, I find it so interesting that they are actually complaining about telling girls things that are incredibly common sense and reasonable and intelligent to tell a girl if you want someone who isn't a histrionic narcissist.
Well, yeah, no, I mean it's like they're if you raise girls this way, they're all going to grow up to be like Russell Brand. And who the fuck wants an entire generation of girls who act like Russell Brand?
I don't even know who the fuck Russell Brand is. Could you inform me?
Well, look him up.
He's enough girl for one generation.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll take your guys' word on it. But
he's one of those D-list celebrities who inserts himself into every political conversation and is and he just loves to hear talk even more than I love to hear myself talk.
You know what they're complaining about? They're complaining about the kind of statements and the kind of wisdom and the kind of expectation that make girls self-reliant emotionally. This is what they're complaining about. They're complaining about teaching girls to be self-reliant emotionally. Don't be an attention whore. Don't pin all of your hopes and dreams on the eyeballs of other people, because people can take those eyeballs away, and then where are you? Don't dress sexualized. When you're in a frickin' school, you're there to learn, because your primary value is what you do for society to benefit society in terms of your developments or your work or your achievements, not how short you can get your dress to compete with Sue over there. So all of these messages, and including don't be bossy, because telling a girl don't be bossy is teaching her how to be a boss.
Yeah.
And you're essentially saying, no, we can't teach girls how to be a boss. We can't teach girls how to focus on their academics. We can't teach girls that being an attention whore is not the way to go, because guess what? People can take their attention away, and then where are you? You've basically tied your life to something that you have no control over. Use self-sufficiency. So we're essentially everything that people could tell their girls to make them emotionally self-sufficient, these guys, these individuals, don't like.
Yeah, I know.
And then they turn around and say, we're about empowering girls. We're about making girls feel like they can do no, you're not. And this is why women are have been halved since 1985 in STEM, because of this bullshit. I think, anyway. I know you would suggest biological reasons, but I would suggest that these people are to blame.
All right. Moving on.
Don't be so bitchy.
Yeah, don't be so fucking bitchy. And why did you have to say that in such a bitchy way? Don't be so bitchy.
Well, people are here to listen to us be bitchy.
You know who says that in that tone? Girls.
Yeah.
Women. Guys don't use that tone. Don't be so bitchy. Unless they're gay. Well, and effeminate gay.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a bear saying "don't be so bitchy" in that tone.
Yeah. No. Maybe as a joke.
Yeah, maybe as a joke, but I mean, this is what women. There's a lot of this is what women say to other women, and girls say to other girls.
Well, yeah. And that's the other thing. Like you said, a lot of this stuff is girls saying it to girls, which doesn't mean it's
patriarchy.
Yeah, it's all patriarchy. Which doesn't mean it necessarily is bad, but you have to, or it doesn't. It's not the point. But the other thing is that girls can be bitchy, and so we can't call them out when they are bitchy. Like,
of course not.
That would be misogyny. Like that. This is where it's going. Any judgment of a girl, no matter how beneficial to her long-term development, is regarded as misogyny.
Well, and here's the thing too, right? I mean, guys get called bitches all the time too, but it's not when they're being cunty; it's when they're being weak, right?
Yeah. Until
when they're being like actually bitchy, they're told, "Don't be so scary."
Yeah.
Go ahead, teal deer. I can't see your cues, so.
I know it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. On this thing, so stop being bitchy. Okay. Have you tried not being a bitch? It's kind of simple. You know, if someone says you're being a bitch, maybe it's because you're being a bitch and you need to stop. I just blew your mind.
I had a sister like that once. And then she grew up.
But these people would never allow her to have that happen to her.
There you go.
I'm sure she's actually much happier not being a bitch.
Yeah, no, she is. She's much more much more content as a person. I think there's a tendency among women these days, just because of the media, all of the media hype around stuff like this, to focus on everything negative and never to look at the positive. And I mean, like, I left a comment on the Dear Daddy video along the lines of, okay, my daughter, her life, right? Her life is the result of this sort of chain reaction, an unbroken chain reaction of events from the first cyanobacterium that ever freaking sprang up and out to life in a pool of primordial ooze, right? And if any single thing had happened differently, including if I'd had sex with my ex on a different night or at a different hour that night or in a different sexual position that night, right, she would not exist. right? She'd be somebody else, maybe, right? There would be somebody else there, but my daughter, that person, that individual would not exist. That is like an astronomical thing to actually consider when you sit down and think about everything that had to happen to lead up to her life, and to condone any kind of situation where she's going to focus her entire life, this gift that she has through just like all of this random chance, right? Focus her entire life on negativity, on feeling negative about herself and the world, and this kind of solipsistic need to be bitter and rancorous over every little fucking thing. What a waste. What a fucking waste of a life.
I think you killed it. So let's.
All right.
Stop being so dramatic.
Yeah, stop. And don't roll your eyes like that either. It's unattractive.
It must be that time of the month.
It must be. Your hair's a mess. You got a little flush going on there. Your eyes look puffy, like you've been crying. Just saying.
Teal, although we may have an issue with... No, wait, I think the echo has resolved itself, so go ahead, Teal.
Glorious. Okay. It must be that time of the month. Okay, here's just a message for women in general. Men will stop using that as an excuse for your bitchy and terrible behavior when women are no longer legally allowed to use their period hysteria as an excuse to murder their children. That will stand up legally in court.
Well, I don't think they use period hysteria. They use postpartum depression, but that's pretty much the same thing. Postpartum depression.
We've had things like women being on periods where they assault people. It's like,
Holy
it's that time
shit.
of the month. It's like, oh, okay, well, fine, your hormones, you're not in control of your own actions, GG, have a free ticket out of here. Okay, well, how about we stop using those sorts of biological functions as excuses for terrible behavior, then? If you're able to go one way, then don't be surprised when someone then uses it as an excuse for your behavior as well.
Exactly.
Just using your own defense for you. Don't be a bitch about it. See what I did
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I just, like, honestly, if they are, like, I have actually used my period as an excuse, right, when I'm cranky, and I will come right out, and I'll just tell my boyfriend, I'll just warn him, like, I'm feeling really bitchy and irrational right now, right? That doesn't mean you have to walk on eggshells around me. That doesn't mean any of that. But if I just start flipping my fucking shit over something that normally I wouldn't, right? Just understand that it's not you. It's me, right? And you don't need to apologize. You don't need to freaking feel bad about it. You don't need to try to make it better, because you can't, right? Because this is all me. This is just me. And that's how I handle that, right? Because even though I may not be 100% in control of my emotions when I'm on my period the way I am otherwise, I still have to take ownership of them and not blame him because this was the one time in the month that he left the cap off of the toothpaste and I just fucking lost it, right? It's like there are things that are going to bother you more when you're hormonal, right? But that doesn't mean that the people who do those things that bother you more today are bad for doing them or need to apologize or need to make up for it somehow or change their behavior. No, it's all me. That it's me, right?
You're right. It is all you. Feel ashamed, woman.
Well, I do. I absolutely do. I actually go and I live in the tool shed for the 3 days I'm menstruating every month.
Do you produce something while you're doing that just to give them a gift for having had to deal with you during that time? Like
no, I meditate. I meditate on my shame.
On your shame cave?
Yes, on my shame cave. That's excreting grossness. No, I actually don't even have a tool shed, but.
Okay, Teal dear.
Yeah, I'm just going to put something else out there now about can we turn this into a two-way street? So, I mean, we've even seen it. I've even linked an article on some of my videos to Jezebel where they were saying, like, oh, yeah, well, times we've used our period as an excuse to be a bitch. Okay, fine. So you're going to do this. I wonder if we can make this go the other way. So this guy hasn't been laid for over a year. He has just the biggest blue balls you've ever seen. It's like a couple of bowling balls swinging around between his knees. So he raped her. It's fine, though, because hormones, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Can
yeah.
we do
No,
that?
that's totally kosher and above board. Yeah, no. Um, well, no, but I think hmm.
But she was arousing him, and his hormones were
Very,
raging, and then
yeah,
he raped
no.
her.
I think you'd have a better argument for excusing male sexual misconduct during adolescence because that at that point boys' hormones really are raging. Like
No, but you see, the thing is that he's saying that because he's under the influence of hormones, why doesn't he get a pass? Like a woman gets a
yeah,
pass when she's under the influence of
I
hormones.
know, I know, I know.
It doesn't matter the particular period in time. It's never
Well,
going to
but
be. It's never going to.
the guy with blue balls could have masturbated 3 times a day for the last year.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, that would never fly. That
No, of
men
course
have an
not.
excuse based on their hormones. I actually don't think that normal guys would rape regardless of how hormonal they feel. But in that scenario, no, they wouldn't. It wouldn't go both ways.
Well, the thing is, as a guy, you wouldn't even try and pull that in court.
No,
There is no way that anyone would even vaguely entertain the notion.
of course not.
Whereas if you're a woman, you can use that as a last-ditch defense, and it might just work.
Yeah, well, hey, did you guys hear about there was a woman who used battered women defense for killing her husband, but he'd never battered her. It was a previous husband who had battered her, and she successfully used that defense.
So it was a preemptive murder.
I don't know whether
The
she
way
argued.
for me to never be beaten by my partner ever is to murder anyone who may be my partner in the future.
I guess
Sound reasoning, absolutely.
you would think maybe she'd just stay single. You know,
But then how could she murder men?
this is true. This is true, and of course she's doing society a service by doing it, right? Because all men are rapists and abusers. So
One would. One. I can't even say anything to that.
okay, moving on then.
What?
You'd be really pretty if you just made an effort.
What was that?
You'd be really pretty if you just made an effort.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So saying you are pretty is bad, but saying you could really be pretty if you made an effort, that's also bad.
Being
You
much
could be
prettier.
handsome if you just shaved.
Yeah.
You'd look nice in a suit.
Yep.
You could be really good looking if you worked out.
Oh, that whole show called Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, didn't they?
Yeah, that's a thing that exists.
Yeah. No queer eye for. Well, I guess most of the
No,
fashion.
there are makeover shows for women too, but I mean, it's not like you'd get more girls if you put in an effort. Isn't that what the whole fucking red pill subreddit is about?
What the hell's the problem with that? Yeah, it's true for both men and women. If you put an effort in, you tend to attract more attention from the opposite sex.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, people tell me things that are patently obvious, common sense. I'm so oppressed.
Yeah.
Truth is
There you
oppression.
go. Fuck's sake. Okay, moving on.
Wild. You're so exotic.
Oh yeah, yeah. You'd be prettier if you smiled. Yeah, most people are. You know, if you spend your life not smiling, you end up looking like Throw Mama from the Train, who is a very good actress, or was, but not very good looking.
It's bizarre. It's like, okay, so if you walk around with permanent bitch face, people are just not, they're going to react negatively to you. Really? Well, guess what? If a guy walks around, well, what's the difference? Okay, you as a girl walk around not smiling. A guy is going to ask you, why aren't you smiling? They're going to, like, try and fix the problem. If you're a guy and you're walking around with a frown, people are going to cross the street.
Okay. It's true. It's like, yes, they're taking things that apply to both genders. Nobody's going to tell a guy to smile. You're right. They'll just cross the street because they're scared of him if he looks particularly aggressive. But they'll tell a woman to smile because people, probably not just because they want her to stop cluttering their space with bitch face, but also because they're concerned about her interior experience. And it's annoying when people tell you to smile, don't get me wrong. But it's not oppression. I mean, nothing that they have said so far, I don't even know what they're trying to do with this. Except
point out that none of it is stuff that only women will hear.
Yeah,
this is all stuff that could be tailored a little bit and applied to men.
Yeah. It's none of it is only what women hear, and if this is the best they can do, all they're proving is that women live lives of incredible
solipsism
and ease and lack of, like, I mean, do women get to hear things like, yeah, you have to pay X amount of dollars a month for kids you don't see. Oh yeah, by the way, you gotta serve your country, and you don't get any choice in the matter. You know, and by the way, you know, your wife who quit a month before she got a divorce, her lawyer, high-powered lawyer salary, she expects to remain in a lifestyle that she came accustomed to. So we're going to impute income to you based on a job that you had 10 years ago, in which you were making 4 times as much as you are now. And if you can't afford that, we got a jail cell for you. I mean, do women hear this shit? Oh, by the way, yeah, you really can't be raped because you're a man. Not because of what you wore, that would be a step up, but just because you have a penis. Do women hear this shit? Like, nothing in this is worthy of a fucking well-produced, what is this thing? Mini doc? What the fuck is this commercial? Like, is it worth the amount of money they spent making it? What the fuck are they proving? Nothing. They're proving the exact opposite of what they're intending to prove. If this is what women are to complain about, I don't even understand how men can watch this and say, "Oh my God, women have it so bad." How does that brain?
I don't know how it brains, Allison.
All right.
All right. Are we moving on?
Yeah, it's,
Yes.
Okay.
I hijacked enough.
Sorry?
I hijacked enough.
Okay. Well, you keep interrupting me always right as the red shirt's starting to talk. So shh, both of you.
You're so exotic. Where are you from?
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
You really want to go there? That women who are not white are somehow, because they're treated as sex objects, and it happens also to men who are not white. They're also called exotic, and they're treated as sex objects by white people. If you want to go there. Sorry?
I think the word is mandingo.
Mandingo. What? Oh, that sounds really interesting. But
it was a pulp novel.
Okay, so. Yeah, I mean, there was even this article in this I forget the name of the magazine. I probably would never remember the name of the magazine, in which it described women from the UK going to the Caribbean for sex tourism. And what was interesting is there's no condemnation of it. It was just like, yeah, this is what they do.
There was condemnation of it because the women were seen as being victims of these predatory men who were taking their money and having sex with them.
Well,
in the documentary.
Those exotic men, they're such bastards.
Yeah, I know.
With a rape charge.
These men who have like no fucking money, and who wait around at the airport for the women that they know, middle-aged women that they know who are going to come off the plane, and they start romancing these women, and then they get money and they get things bought for them and stuff, right? And that's all a victimization of those middle-aged, wealthy women who went there specifically to do sex tourism. Yeah.
Yeah. So Teal Deer has been requesting to speak. So
yes.
I'm sorry. It sounds so fucking I don't know, tyrannical.
It's
not
fine.
because
It's fine. I know where I am in the pecking order as a deer of color. I am clearly beneath the privileged white women.
But you're so
It's fine.
exotic.
be at the
I know.
Where are you
Aggressive.
from?
You see, this is the thing. It's like, okay, it's really asking someone where they're from. This is oppression. Really, just being idly curious now. Just basic curiosity is now oppressing people. That's where we're going with this.
Yes.
Get
Well,
fucked,
I mean, yeah,
frankly.
no, I mean, people, if you have an accent, right? People sort of want to know where you're from. If you, and that's even if you're white, right? But they can't place your accent. They'll ask you where you're from. If you have really weird eating habits, like I had this one woman when I was working in a breakfast place, and she asked for, may I have just a bowl of raw oats and some milk and sugar? And I was like, you're from Denmark, aren't you? And she says, how did you know? And I'm like, because my dad ate that every fucking day for breakfast for like the last 40 years. And he's Danish. That's how I know. But other people would be curious because it's weird. It's weird to eat raw oats with milk and sugar on it. It's not typical. But yeah, no, it's like people get curious about where you're from. Are you from Australia, or are you from New Zealand, or are you from South Africa? Because sometimes the accents sound a little similar. Like I just
Yeah,
don't.
but that's it's mild curiosity about where a person is from is now oppression when it's directed at women.
Can I also point out something?
Mm.
Oppressing women is now the natural launch point of a conversation with a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
What is the first lesson you learn, like going to any sort of website where it's like, oh, here's how to meet boys in places, here's how to meet girls in places? What's the first thing? Show an interest in them. Ask them questions. What is a really obvious question to ask if you know they don't have a local accent? Or like if they're dressed in a way that is not sort of locally from this area? That is a great way of finding out something about someone, learning where they're from, and it shows you are interested in them as an individual.
Yeah.
This is now oppression.
What are they like? What do they think they accomplish with this? Or maybe they build up to some oppression crescendo more towards the end. Like, do they do that? Maybe we should look a little further.
Okay, moving on.
Nice rack.
I can't tell.
Well, thank you would be my response. It is my time of the year.
And it is an excellent rack.
Yeah, I get that one. I get that one once a year, and I'm totally okay with it. So I don't know what your problem is, bitch.
Oh, well. I just, nice rack. It's a crass way to fucking put it, but whatever. Honestly, lady, you're what, 28, 30 right now? You're going to hit 45 and some hobo with twigs in his beard compliments your ass, and you're going to be like, yes!
Yeah, but like I said before, I mean, if guys don't express appreciation for fat women, women of color, women who are ugly, or old women, then they are. Let's see. Let's use the shaming words. Let's use the shaming dictionary. They are no, not ableist. Lookist, fatphobic, ageist, and racist.
Mhm.
But if they do express appreciation for an attractive woman, then I guess they're also lookist. Because they should just express neutral, like they should make every woman feel special, but not feel any different from any other woman. So they should be completely undiscerning in their compliments. You are a human female. Congratulations.
That's transphobic, Alice. You can't do that.
No, you are a sack
Human.
of protoplasm. You are a human in the shape of a human. Congratulations. That's what they should do for every woman, but they should also make every woman feel special.
Yes.
So, but without judging any particular woman less special than, this is strike time.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the fuck they're doing with this. I don't know what they're. Okay, I'm expecting some sort of crescendo of oppression at some point here.
I doubt it.
I was just trying to give you a compliment. You don't.
Okay.
Oh my.
Maybe he was.
Well, like I said, even if nice rack isn't like the most gallant way to put it, it still actually is a compliment. Speaking as somebody who has a nice rack and occasionally hears that, I have a nice rack. So, just saying.
No, because if you aren't complimented, that's oppression. If you are complimented, that's also oppression. And if you're told not to base your life on the attention and approval of others, that's also oppression. Because
Yeah. There you go.
Christ.
Yep.
Women need to become social tapioca pudding.
Yes.
They just need to be an exact 5 out of 10 and live off of the lukewarm, sideways glances of other humans.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? Because, guys occasionally hear, nice pecs, nice abs. Oh my God, nice ass, right?
Usually followed by them being grabbed.
Usually. But here's the thing, right? They would never hear, well, I was just trying to give you a compliment, because you know what? Men don't get as many compliments as women, so when they do get them, they tend to appreciate them a lot more, and they don't get all fucking cunty about it, or about, how the compliment was given in, not the socially approved way, or not the way that I feel is appropriate, right? Somebody says to a guy, God, nice ass, right? And he's just like, oh, thanks, and he goes on his merry way, and that's and he feels good about his ass.
But if the woman does say nice ass to him and he's like, you what? And just sort of says like, no, that's being weird. Well, he's gay. He's a faggot.
Yeah, the only way he
doesn't like you because he's a pedophile or something.
The only way a guy can get away with objecting is by like doing it in a joking way, with like, oh, you just see me as a piece of meat, right, or whatever.
Venison. Okay, let's get some crescendo. I'm holding out hope that there is some sort of oppression crescendo that they're building to.
Venison dripping in maple syrup, teal deer. I remember your Milo, teal deer, erotica.
There have been so many demands for me to finish that fan fiction.
It was
the internet.
We want your meat.
Well, maybe not your actual meat, because that would be weird, eating your friend, making him into steaks and ground venison and stuff. But
okay, well, I'm sorry. I apologize. That was very crass.
And objectifying.
Yes, and objectifying. I think I need to bow out of this now.
You need to go and sit in the shame cave.
But I don't. Are you sure you're large enough to accommodate me?
My shame cave is big enough for everybody.
Everyone to Karen's shame cave. Okay.
Okay, moving on.
You don't want to go out with me? You're ugly anyway.
Uh-huh.
I believe what I said in the last point still stands. You don't want to go out with me? You're gay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Absolutely. I
just take rejection badly.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah, it's if they're male or female, they take rejection badly. Actually, women tend to take it a little bit worse.
Yeah, because they're not as used to it as men.
Well, and they also have an institutionalized way of shaming men for rejecting them. And that they're trying to make this law too. Ageism, fat phobia and lookism, racism, like in the context of people's choices and dating partners. These are institutionalized ways of shaming men for rejecting women. I think you ladies, you got it. You got the whole hell hath a woman scorned. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. You got that wrapped up. If you have an actual political movement that shames men for rejecting you, you turning around and saying, "Oh, men get a little snippy when they're rejected." No. It's like comparing a fucking lighter to a flamethrower. Well,
True.
not even, or nuclear bomb.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say, or are we moving on?
Yes, let's get to the crescendo.
Is that all you're going to eat? You eat
Is that all you're
I don't
going to
even
eat?
think that's worth a comment.
a lot for a girl.
You eat a lot for a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some girls eat a lot and some don't, and it's very unusual to see a girl eating a lot, because women tend to
Not
need
eat.
less calories than men do to maintain their body weight. That's
Oh, I remember seeing this show on like professional eaters,
uh-huh.
and there was this one girl who was like what must have weighed 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And she went to this, I think it was like one of those challenge restaurants where they have like a 20-pound steak on a bun or some shit.
64
And
ounce.
yeah, 64, whatever. I think it was pretty big. And there were guys before who hadn't managed to eat this thing. And I swear to God, that 100-pound girl unhinged her jaw and swallowed it like a snake swallowing a gazelle. It was mesmerizing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow.
I used to,
And she packed it all away.
yeah, no, I used to eat like that when I was young. I used to be able to eat that much and still be like 15 pounds, and my waist would grow, I don't know, anywhere between 6 and 10 inches in the hour and a half after I would eat. Right? So go from 21 inches to, 30 inches in, the space of a meal, and then shrink back down.
Yeah. It's pretty innocuous. It's like
People used to marvel.
so far I can't even really get up a good head of anger because it's so tepid.
Yeah.
It's like we exist in the same universe as other human beings, and it is such a chore.
Yeah.
Well, don't incarnate as a human then. Become a snail or a slug.
Oh, yeah. Then we can watch you mating and be grossed out.
You drink whiskey? You like football? Your drive is kind of intimidating.
Your drive is kind of. Are you driving over things? Are you like driving over people or hitting trees?
Are you one of those people that mistook the brake for the gas for the brake, and then you just like went into like a crowd of people waiting at the bus stop? And
Yeah, or one of those people who can't seem to decide between the gas and the brakes, so you're constantly accelerating and decelerating. I think the word for that is not intimidating, but nauseating.
Or maybe people are like sitting behind you in traffic watching you apply your makeup at 70 kilometers an hour.
It's impressive and terrifying.
And they're just like, I'm just going to stay behind this person because I really don't want to be in front of them.
Oh, I think what she means is drive in terms of ambition. I was actually thinking maybe golf. Like, that could, you know what? They need to actually.
Because they're using football in the one right before, right? And
considering how much they must have spent on this commercial, couldn't they have proofread this so it flowed a little bit better?
Yeah, so that there wouldn't be this ambiguity. See, I don't even know.
Couldn't they just raise actual points in this video?
Well, no, that's too much.
Better?
That's too much to expect. I mean, come on, we're dealing with these individuals of a certain merit.
HuffPo.
You can't expect cognizant points about anything. PuffPo.
HuffPo.
HuffPo.
Huff and Po.
Hufflepuff.
All right.
Hufflepuff.
Moving
Just
on.
like Hufflepuff, no one gives a fuck about them, and they generally fail at everything.
There you go. All right, moving on.
Let's
You
get to
went.
this damn crescendo that I'm sure must exist. They
Okay.
must be building to something.
All right. Shh.
What war on reproductive rights?
The one that is on men's reproductive rights, because there is no war on their reproductive rights because they don't have any.
Yeah, the man can't even say, I don't want to be a father, I was raped.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, because a couple years ago there was a big, huge battle in the war on reproductive rights, and it was the battle of the transvaginal ultrasound. You remember all of that? That in certain states or in one state where the limit was like 12 weeks or something, right? They were requiring a transvaginal ultrasound to ascertain the age of the fetus. Now, the age of the fetus determines the procedure that will be used to extract it. Okay? If you are going in there thinking you have an 8-week fetus and it's really a 18-week fetus, there can be complications and problems that you did not foresee. And the only way to actually accurately determine the age of the fetus under 12 weeks is through a transvaginal ultrasound. So, and other things that could complicate things like placenta previa and stuff like that. So, essentially, this transvaginal ultrasound was for health and safety purposes. And it was construed as an attack on women's reproductive rights because somehow, having instruments put into your vagina to dilate your cervix forcibly, and then other instruments inserted in there to crush your fetus's skull and pull it out of your body, sometimes in pieces, okay? That's not too much to ask of a woman who wants an abortion, but having a narrow wand smeared with jelly inserted in there to determine the safest way to proceed is like it's worse than rape. It's equivalent to rape.
Don't stare directly into the abyss of stupid.
Like I don't understand. Like, do you not realize how abortions occur? Right? They stick shit up your vagina to perform the abortion. If you're willing to have shit stuck up your vagina to do that, then like, oh, okay, fuck transvaginal ultrasound, sure.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound like a very sanitary way of inducing the abortion, if I'm honest.
Shoving shit up the vagina? Well,
Yeah.
that's just
It'll
careless
work,
and euphemistic.
but I'm just saying.
Oh my god. Well, the basic point is there is no war on men's reproductive rights because men don't have any.
And there really isn't much of a war on women's reproductive rights. Essentially, the only things that I've seen state in the U.S. that have really been under attack are things like full-term partial birth abortion, right? So, viable fetus in the 3rd trimester, right, could survive on its own outside the womb, has to go through this absolutely disgusting, gross procedure to think about where they dilate the cervix, they insert like a big syringe with a fucking vacuum pump in it, they jab it into the baby's frickin' brain, suck its brains out to collapse its skull, and then pull the fucking rest of the body out. And they'll do this while the body is out and just the head is still inside. And it's still just an abortion, even if it happens at 38 weeks. Right? Those are the things people object to. Not people going in at 8 or 12 or 14 weeks to have an abortion of a cluster of cells.
This has gotten dark.
Aborting a cluster of cells, aborting a fucking blastocyst, aborting a fucking, fetus the size of your thumb is not considered. It's not something that's been realistically challenged anywhere in the U.S. What's been challenged is abortion on demand for any reason up to and including when you're in labor naturally at 40 weeks gestation.
So the
So the
war on
war on
women. Oh
women.
God!
Oh God!
Please turn that off.
Please turn that off.
Sorry.
Okay.
Allison,
Okay.
hit me.
There we go. Okay, so the war on women's reproductive rights, as they're putting it, is more the philosophical question of when does life actually begin, which is a debate which we've been having since, well, the dawn of time, basically, and probably will do for, well, until the human species ceases to exist.
Yeah, basically. But of course, it's really a war on women.
Of course it is.
Because everything is. Everything, including telling a woman she's pretty. Or telling a woman she could be pretty if she tried. Or telling a woman she's not pretty. Or, I don't know, telling her anything but you are a vaguely human-shaped bag of protoplasm. Excellent.
Well, what gets me too about this argument is that at the moment in the U.S., a 25-week fetus can be considered the victim of a crime, and it can be considered the victim of a homicide if somebody, say, pushes his pregnant girlfriend down the stairs and the fetus died. He can be convicted of manslaughter for the death of that fetus if it's over 25 weeks, right? So it's human in the sense that it can be murdered by a third party, but that law, that set of laws, like to actually have two sets of laws saying, well, if the father or some random person kills that fetus at 25 weeks, that's murder. But if the mother does it, it's not even infanticide. It's not a crime at all. Those concepts can't coherently stand side by side within the law.
Yes, they can. In feminist upside down land, where women are oppressed, even though they have more rights to kill their children than any other human being on the planet.
There you go. Moving on. And I'm not even I'm pro-choice, but within reason, ladies, come on.
Can women have it all? Are you
No, they can't. Get over it.
like a feminist? Oh, you
Whoa, what did she fucking say there? Something
Are
feminist?
you like a feminist?
Ugh.
Yeah, if I were a guy, that'd be the first question, and if she said yes, I'd be like, okay, see you
Yes,
later.
I'm going to curtail the time that I spend in your company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, are you a feminist? Great, now I can start the countdown timer to my false rape allegation.
Or alternatively, when you imply that I am responsible for your problems in particular and all women's problems in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
travel alone? Is that like an eat, pray, love thing? Oh,
I don't know. Maybe it could be because Eat, Pray, Love was like one of the most popular movies among women since Thelma and Louise and fucking When Stella Got Her Groove Back.
I don't understand. This list of grievances is pale and fucking moist, and there's no substance or anything to it.
You know what's interesting? I travel alone a lot. Nobody's ever asked me that, and the reason is probably because I look like I have someplace to go. Like, I don't ever look like I'm on holiday, or I'm there to discover myself, right? Or do sex tourism. I always look like I'm there on business. In the airport or whatever.
Yeah, I just want to put something. Okay, so was that an eat, pray, love thing? Okay, so asking women in a roundabout way if they were finding themselves, as some people seem to call it, basically just like, oh, were you being a sex tourist? But whenever a guy says, I'm going on holiday to Thailand, it's just presumed.
Oh, of course. Why else would you go to Thailand other than to like have sex with little boys?
Yeah, okay, so this is your complaint. So some person kind of euphemistically asks, are you just going around having casual sex because a bunch of middle-class white women got done for going and buying male prostitutes in the Caribbean? That's oppressing them. But it's fine if you presume it about a man because reasons.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's ridiculous. Like,
But Karen,
what?
your objection is sort of like insert random Hollywood movie about lawyers here. That and me telling you that is oppressive of you. So if you take an activity and someone compares that activity to a movie that came out, that's oppressive.
Yeah.
I can't even rage over this. It's like I don't understand. Where am I? What is this? What's happening?
Oh God.
What's the
All right.
score? What's going on?
Okay, so you went to Everest. Was that like what's the name of that movie where they climb Everest? I can't even remember. Is that like
where they climb Everest?
There is actually a movie where someone just climbs Everest and like someone dies. It's like, okay.
No. I understand. I'm saying like just use the movie in which they climbed Everest.
It was called Everest.
Oh, okay. Well, that was
Was
simple.
it called Everest? It was probably called Everest. Let's assume it was called Everest. Okay, so you went to climb Mount Everest. Was that like an Everest thing?
Oh my fucking god, you shitlord! You went to Disneyland. Was that like a Disney thing? Oh fucking god!
This is where we're going with this shit.
It's like it wouldn't be like you went to climb Everest. It would be like you're I'm going to Nepal. Oh, are you going to climb Everest?
Karen, how could you?
But why else would you be going to fucking Nepal?
I can't believe that you're advocating raping innocent mountains just sitting in the middle of nowhere. I bet you even say, "What were you wearing, Everest?"
Lots of snow.
Drink that. So this is what we've come to. You engage in an activity that may vaguely be similar to a movie or a book or some media about said activity, and if they allude to that,
extremely popular among people of your sex.
And Eat Love Pray that wasn't really about her like renting a boy to fuck, was it? It was just like her finding herself on a.
She went on like she traveled the world just banging random guys and finding herself.
Okay, well, I assume that. Why would you just assume that? What?
Maybe she thinks it's a roundabout way of a guy to proposition her, like, oh, well, if you are here for an Eat, Pray, Love thing, let's go get a hotel room.
That's casting a pretty far. Like I think that's really like stretching things. I think.
I just can't I can't imagine this being something that like women typically hear.
Or even that if you heard it as a woman, you would just what? Your feelings would be so damaged that you couldn't continue ever. Like somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, you're engaging in this activity, which is like this book or this movie," and you're like, "I can't even." What? There must be a crescendo. There must be a crescendo here.
I'm sorry. Ask me that question again. Let me get my pearls to clutch. Ask me again.
Oh.
No, it's just. I mean, I can. There are some things that I hear fairly regularly, right? Well, I wouldn't say fairly, but like once every couple of weeks, there's some guy who leaves a comment on my channel saying you should grow your hair long, right? And okay, whatever. That's your opinion, man. If you ever saw me with my hair long, you'd be like, "Oh, cut it again." But like, how like vaguely annoying comments that you hear from random people, like, why is this such a big fucking deal?
Allison, you're painful to look at and listen to. Please die. Like that's one I get at least on one raging every time Mike puts it. Apparently, when the camera is on me and it's not on Mike, people get incensed. It's like, what is this vaguely human-shaped creature? Put it back on our sex god! God damn it!
Oh dear.
Yeah, but it's just like that's people's opinion. And
Yeah.
I don't even understand if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, you're doing a thing which is sort of like this other thing." I'm not sure why that would even be an insult or register as anything but just somebody trying to make small talk. I mean,
Mhm.
even I don't understand small talk, and I understand that that's probably inoffensive.
Mhm. All right, moving on.
Yes.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. You don't.
Okay, yeah.
What?
When are
That's
you getting
usually
married and giving me grandchildren, Scotty?
but that's usually a woman saying that about herself. It's like now you're complaining that women complain about things in their lives, but wait. I think that's a rabbit hole you guys don't want to go down. Like if you're
Yeah,
complaining that women complain about things in their life, what is this?
yeah.
Some sort of wineception?
It is usually it is a self-directed thing. Always a bridesmaid and never a bride. Sometimes a mom will say it to her daughter or something like that. But yeah, it's usually kind of considered to be really insensitive and cunty. And so I'm pretty sure it'd only be women doing it to each other or women doing it to themselves, saying that to themselves. So, you know.
I think if the silence stretches, let's take the opportunity to advance to the crescendo that I'm insisting is in here somewhere.
Not.
You don't
There
want
is no
kids?
crescendo.
You worried you won't be fulfilled?
You know what? Some women shouldn't have kids, and you know, some women really want kids, and women's bodies are designed to actually produce kids, so it is a little unusual to meet a woman who adamantly doesn't want kids, and people might be curious about how they came to that decision or why they made that decision, considering the vast majority of women want kids.
Yeah, there's
Like,
nothing uncommon about this. I mean, even I've expressed the fact that I'm an antinatalist sometimes, and people ask me, it's like, well, why don't you want kids? And they'll go on to this big thing. It's like, oh, well, isn't that what you're meant to do? Why don't you want them? You're so weird for not wanting them. It's like, no,
mm-hmm,
this is quite normal. I actually covered this in another video that I did. It's like, no, by the age of like 40 or 50 or something like that, about 80% of people have a child. Therefore, if you don't have one, it is quite an anomaly.
yeah.
It's not oppressive for someone to simply be idly curious about a lifestyle choice that is not the norm.
Well,
Well, the other
most people consider their decision to have kids to be like a massive important decision. It's massively important to consider when to have them. You know, are we ready to have kids? You know, do we have enough in savings? Can we make it? You know, while I'm on maternity leave, all those things. It's considered a big important decision for most people, and because it's a big important decision for them, and it's an important thing for them to do, they consider it important to them and their fulfillment as people, right? It is kind of like it's not like buying a fucking car or you know buying a bus pass. It's a big fucking deal for most people, and they arrange their entire lives around it. So when somebody is just like, oh yeah, no, I'm not really that interested in that. Yeah, no, I'm not planning to do that. Most people who consider it that important just will want to know, oh, well, that's strange. Why?
and here's a thing. Here's something that men hear and women don't. Women don't hear the words "you're going to be a mother." Sorry, "you're a mom," in the context of a situation where they can't make the choice. But men do hear "you're going to be a dad."
Yeah,
I've chosen to make you a dad. Men can hear that. Women never hear "I've chosen to make you a mother." Because there are very, very few, except for situations where women are in catatonic states or held against their will by criminals, in which women give birth and they haven't chosen to be a
yeah,
mother. So a woman will never hear "I've chosen to make you a mom," but a man will hear that. He'll hear "I've chosen to make you a dad. Now shape up and live
yeah.
up to my choice for your life." You guys hear that a lot, actually, come to think of it.
It's
Yeah,
not
they
even
do.
yours, but you're still the father. Just so you know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're
Yeah,
the father.
you have no right to see it, unless you apply in court for that. But, I'll still take your money. And the court will take it on my behalf. But even once paternity's been assigned and they're taking your money and there's a DNA test to prove it, you still have to go and spend your own money to apply in court for access and custody rights.
And if a man thinks that he should have had a right to choose?
You're a biological father, but, and you have all the responsibilities, but you don't have any of the rights.
And if a man thinks that he should have had the right to choose to become a father, that, a woman can't just go up to him and say, you are a father. And a man can't do that to a woman. You're a mother. A woman only has the ability to do this to a man. But if he gets upset about it, of course he's in the wrong. So consider that.
He's not manning up and living up to his responsibilities.
Yeah, so you're just being asked, aren't you worried about not having, don't you think kids would fulfill you? Or you're just being asked about your personal opinion about something, and that's oppressive. But a man being told what his life is going to look like from now on, and having no choice in the matter, that's irrelevant.
Yeah, well, he's not even just not allowed to have a choice. He's not allowed to have an opinion on it either.
No, yeah, he doesn't even have a choice or the right to have an opinion. If his opinion isn't glee and satisfaction at what a woman has chosen for him, then he's a bastard.
Yeah, fuck.
No, right, so the question for men here wouldn't be, well, don't you think kids would fulfill you? It's, don't you think kids would fulfill your female partner? Don't you consider her needs?
Yeah.
Your biological clock is ticking.
It is, lady. It is. Get over it. It's just biology. You will be sorry if you miss the fucking boat if kids are what you want, right? Your biological clock is fucking ticking. Men's is ticking to a lesser degree. Their sperm degrades. Their DNA gets a little bit freaking garbled as they get older, right? Man having a kid at 70, yeah, that kid's gonna be susceptible to more birth defects and disorders and all kinds of problems, right? Okay, because he waited too long, right? But you as a woman, you can't fucking wait forever. If you want to have kids, you have to be aware of that. Why is telling women the truth a problem?
Because it's been a problem throughout the entire thing.
Why? Why?
If you give women reasonable expectations about their lives and tell them things that will improve their ability to cope with circumstances and situations and also be able to become self-actualized and effective as individuals, these people are against it. Well, and why is that a surprise that they're also against this?
And make decisions. Make decisions that are maybe not exactly what you want, right? This, maybe you don't want to have a baby at 26. Maybe you would rather do something other than having a baby at 26. But you know what? I'm pretty sure you don't want to have a kid with Down syndrome at 42. Okay? Pretty sure that's not what you wanted or would have chosen either. Like, how is lying to women and saying you can just fucking wait forever, right? There's a reason why fertility clinics and fertility treatments are a multi-fucking-billion-dollar industry in the West, right? And it's not because we have some mass freaking huge epidemic of infertility going on. It's because women are waiting too long.
It's because they're being told they can have it all. And they buy
years
it.
Old.
Karen,
they don't start trying until they're 35 years old.
Okay, go ahead, Fielder.
Sorry.
No, that was it. It's just women are being told, as that point made earlier, women are being told they can have it all, and they are buying it hook, line, and sinker. They are thinking, yes, I can have the career, yes, I can have all the kids, yes, I can have the perfect husband, and they wait, and they wait, and they wait, and they wait, and then what they want never actually gets actualized because they've kind of put themselves in that position where it's like, okay, you've got the career and you've got all this stuff. Congratulations, your body now doesn't work how it's meant to because you got old.
Well,
deal with it.
Well,
chronology exists.
It does. What drives me crazy about this, though, is that women can have some semblance of, they can have the exact same semblance of having it all, right? And they can have a better one if they're told the truth, right? Which is, Okay, you go to college, maybe you get a bachelor's degree, right? While you're there, you meet a man that you think would be a good life partner, right? Get together with him, right? He might not be perfect yet, okay? But he's going places, right? And you decide with him that you're going to have your kids in your 20s. And then when you've had your kids, then you go back and get your master's degree, and then you start your career, because now your career will be uninterrupted. You've had your kids now, right? So you're still not going to get as far as a man will in the exact same time, because you've taken some time off to have kids, but you would have done that anyway, right? So you're just essentially spacing out your life in such a way that you're maximizing your potential to have the kids, the number of kids that you want, and you're maximizing also your potential to have the kind of career you want. You have to wait for one or the other. Which is it going to be? Is it
We
going
need
to
to
be the...
stop infantilizing women. I think that's the real problem here. That's what all this shit is doing. It's basically teaching women never grow up and then bitch when it's too late for you to actually do something. That is what this is. This is what this is. This sort of shit is teaching them. No, what you need to be doing is doing the complete opposite. You need to be teaching women. Okay, there is an optimum window in which you can achieve, say, children. There is an optimum window in which you can sort of take your education and have like a decent career at the end of it, because these things take time. And what you have to do is you have to ration the time that it takes for each one of these goals to be actualized, and then lay them across what your presumed life chronology. And we are not giving people the tools and the education to actually do that. I mean, we have a failed as fuck education system as it is anyway. But we treat people like children for too goddamn long. I mean, we have people in their 20s and even in their 30s who are still behaving as if they're fucking children, and we see them all the time on the internet. I'm looking at people like, well, basically most of the feminists with, ooh, listen to our fucking baby piano music while I tell you about some mystical bullshit about how I think the world works, which is just a load of complete crap. It's just a complete fairy tale about how you think humans function, and it just ruins people. They never fucking grow up, so they never learn like what it is that they need to be doing at what stages in their life, or what the optimum stages are, and they never learn to actually ration the time that they have.
Oh, it's worse than that. I mean, like, because here I am. Like in British Columbia, when my kids were in high school, they had to take something called it was fucking called Calm Career and Life Management, and they had to take something similar here when they transferred to the Alberta school system. Right? It's a mandatory course, and it teaches you, it prepares you for life. Okay, so I'm talking to this girl at work. Right? She's in grade 12. She's taken her Calm. She's taken it. She's passed it with flying colors, and she doesn't know what credit is. She doesn't know what a credit rating is. She doesn't know what it's good for. She doesn't know what it takes to actually get a credit rating, build it up, get a good credit rating, what a bad credit rating will do, right? Has no fucking clue. But she went through a career and life management course that's supposed to teach her how to function in the world.
This is a failure of either education or a failure of parenting, both of which are failing spectacularly in modern society. Kids don't learn this shit. This is why they never fucking grow up. I just simply need to draw your attention to the quote, which I think personifies all of this. It's not about creating an intellectual space. It's about creating a home here, said the university student in their 20s.
Yeah, at Yale.
Yeah.
I insist on seeing the world in my terms. I know that there is some sort of climax here.
Okay, I don't think so.
You're not taking your husband's last name? You don't even look like you had a baby.
Isn't that a compliment?
Another compliment. Just after I had my first and I was in a bikini and nobody could tell that the kid in my arms was my kid. They thought I was babysitting.
To compliment.
That's an unbelievable fucking moment 8 weeks later.
All right,
Yeah.
let's be an unbelievable fucking moment when we get through this shit.
I didn't hear much of that after I had my last kid, though. Frickin' kid. 11 pounds. The fuck is that? Okay, moving on.
Baby. Are you planning on working after the baby's born?
Yeah, no man ever hears that. That's the one fucking thing in this entire video that women hear that men do not.
And that's because men are not considered as important to the raising of their children as women, which has a whole suite of other factors that men have to deal with that women don't, starting with their inability to actually choose to become a father.
It's because men are not given the choice. Men are not assumed to have the choice. It's assumed that, of course, when the baby's born, he'll not only be working, he'll be working more to compensate for the fact that she's taking time off.
Okay, when there's silence, just keep going.
All right.
You'll be so bored at home. You're
Uh-huh.
going to let someone else raise your kids when you go back to work?
Uh-huh.
How are these not just completely valid questions that people could and should ask people? It's like, okay, if you have a child, are you going to go back to work? Okay, great. Consider that. It's a very important thing. Are you going to have two incomes, or are you not going to have two incomes? If you decide that you want to have two incomes, guess what? You've still got a child. Okay, how are you going to deal with that child? Your two incomes can't do it if your two parents are not there. Therefore, some of your intake is going to have to go on having someone provide for that child. Do you have extended family that can do that? Are you going to have to pay someone to do that? How are these not legitimate questions that need to be asked when you are considering how to manage your fucking life?
Well,
This is not oppression.
Well, the way some of these women are saying these things, right? You're going to let someone else raise your child, right? There is some judgment there, but again, it's mostly from women.
Well, the other thing is that it's also could be just small child. I mean, and the thing is, like, yeah, people are going to have opinions about the things you decide in your lives. Try being a men's rights activist and a woman. People are going to have a lot of opinions about that. That's going to have a fuck ton of opinions.
Try being a men's rights activist, period.
Yeah.
People are going to have a lot of opinions.
People will, then they'll have particular opinions because you're a female men's rights activist that they won't have with male men's rights activists.
Oh, here's one. Here's a great one. You let your kids walk to the park alone? That's an opinion.
Yeah.
That Child Protective Services gets involved in.
No, we don't even have to. Okay, just to go back to what I was saying, you don't even have to deal with opinions. You have to deal with definitive statements about your internal states, like, oh, you must have Saganese. You must have the internalized Saganese. And it's like, right, because I believe in protecting and serving groups of people that I don't necessarily belong to. And I believe that that as an identity is more empowering than that of victim. I have internalized Saganese because I recognize that I actually have a power and ability as a woman to do something to make other groups better off.
Yeah, no, I had this one woman on one of Paul Elam's videos tell me that obviously I had mommy issues or daddy issues, like I was abused, came from a dysfunctional family, which is actually pretty hilarious since my family's the most chill family out there. But because that's the kind of family background that breeds hate mongers. So I was like, okay, I'm not really going to get into my childhood, but you do realize Gloria Steinem, blah, 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 dysfunctional family background, Robin Morgan, blah, 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 dysfunctional family background. All of these feminists came out and said complete dysfunctional childhoods, complete dysfunctional family backgrounds, all the way back to Mary Wollstonecraft, whose father abused her mother, and she would sleep across her mother's bedroom door to keep him out at night, right? And then he spent her trust fund when he lost the family fortune, right, and left her penniless, right? Okay, dysfunctional family fucking background. All of these feminists that you say, are not hate mongers, are all coming from the dysfunctional family backgrounds that you say breed hate mongers. Yet you have decided that what I say is hate, so you're speculating about a mythical dysfunctional family background that I supposedly have, right? Like, people make these assumptions about me all the time, and you just kind of just have to get over it and laugh.
Yeah, that people's opinions about you don't define you, and the more that you present this kind of bullshit and say to women that you need to be concerned about other people's opinions because their oppression of you, the bigger you make this, the more you train women to actually give a shit about other people's opinions. This is doing the exact opposite of what they think they're doing, and I wonder if that's not deliberate.
Well,
like
I
those
mean,
anti-smoking ads that get kids to smoke more.
yeah,
They need their next generation of victims.
they
Otherwise,
do.
they won't exist.
Well, they're
Yeah, they need
victim
to
You
porn.
can't have a country full of self-actualizing agents who take responsibility for their own lives and do things for themselves and make informed decisions. If you had that, then who would be the damsel that these people need to chastise men for not saving?
But God forbid you have a damsel in a game.
Yeah.
Let's do this thing that we are doing.
Okay.
Does your husband mind that you make more money than him? Your
Probably not.
I think that's an
husband?
implication on him, though, isn't it?
Yes.
I could imagine a feminist saying that.
It's an assumption about him. Yeah.
I can imagine a feminist saying that. Does your
Yeah.
husband not mind? Does he beat you at night when your check comes in and he compares it to yours? Does he? I could totally see that. That this is something a feminist would say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it's about how men are insecure, supposedly.
Oh,
Yeah.
masculine.
Is your boyfriend's masculinity so fragile that he's threatened by the fact that you achieve things?
Exactly. So now they're complaining about complaints that they've made like 2 months ago. It's like a perfect cycle of bullshit. Feminism makes a complaint and gets women to think this thing, and then it says, oh, wait, what we did 2 months ago is obvious evidence of oppression and patriarchy.
Yeah, of course it is. That's how they work.
And him? Your husband cooks dinner? You really have him well trained.
All right. Yeah, lots of women actually hear that. Men actually, there's another thing that. Well, no, men might hear something like that in a very, very safe environment from their friends.
You got her well
We
trained.
know what men actually hear. Your wife cooked you dinner? You're a fucking misogynist.
Yeah.
Well, no, like, because I'm sure that, because every morning I bring my boyfriend coffee in bed and bring him something to eat and get him up, right? Because he has a hard time getting out of bed. And I'm sure if he was actually telling his friends, his male friends, that I do this for him, and I'm sure he probably has, because I'm sure they've asked why he's with somebody so much older than him who has, like, grown kids. I'm sure that they would probably feel safe to say, wow, you got her well trained or something like that. It's essentially a harmless, I like that. Appreciates it. It makes him feel valued. And it makes me feel like I'm making him feel good.
Yeah,
So,
my husband cooks me dinner, and I don't think I've trained him at all.
yeah, probably.
Can I also just point out something? I don't mean to like jump in here, but isn't this also kind of a way of just saying a man can't do something nice for someone else unless he's been told how to do it by a woman? A man can't show empathy, can't be caring. A woman has to have told him how to do that.
How is
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much implication, like you're saying, Tilder. There's so much implication towards men in this, and how did women become the bigger victims of this? I mean, your slave is so well trained. He picks cotton like no other slave I've seen before. Oh, you're shaming white Southern slave owners. How?
Yeah.
You're just skipping over the obvious bullshit directed towards men to focus on I guess shaming white Southern slave owners who don't get their slaves to pick cotton quickly. Yeah, I went there.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's complete silence. I don't know if everybody's like, oh my god.
No, maybe this is the crescendo of
Losing the will
oppression.
to live. They've yet to make a single coherent point.
No, look, I hold out hope. There is a crescendo of something. There's a point to this. So they're
I
not just
Maybe the
bathed in
point
lukewarm.
was this video that we're
Victimhood.
doing now.
Oh, sort of meta, eh? But
Yeah,
it's
like
just
a-
like these women are bathing in this lukewarm paste victimhood. Just sort of like, just it doesn't. It's like, how can you even make victimhood out of this stuff? It's almost transcendent. It's like
It
you've
is.
made victimhood out of the most mundane milk toast. How do you say that word, Karen?
Milk toast.
Milk quest, right?
It is
It's
milk toast.
Milk
Oh,
toast.
milk toast. The most mundane, neutral, beige milk toast situations, and you've managed to make victimhood out of that. You've managed to make victimhood out of it. It's astounding in its way.
It is.
It's almost, like I said, transcendent, remarkable. Like you're really plumbing the true depths of the victimhood particle. You're gonna find it. You're gonna find it. Now all we need is a victimhood.
The Higgs boson of victimhood. They're gonna find it.
Mash some feminists together and find out what comes out.
You're dating a young man?
Ooh, that's one for you, Karen.
Sorry.
You're such a cougar. Yeah, no, I'm not dating one. I'm married essentially to one. But I do appreciate him and I like him. And I didn't freaking do that because he's younger. It just happened, damn it.
So he's dating a younger girl. What is he, a paedophile?
There you go.
What's the matter? Can't he find someone his own age?
Yeah.
He just wants to manipulate her
Yeah.
into becoming a subservient wife.
He's
wants
using
a
his
nice-
superior age and something power, something dark side, something oppression.
Machiavellian something.
Luke, I am your father. something. Darth Star or Death Star. All right. Yeah, it's.
Traded her in for a younger model.
Uh-huh.
So he is a
Okay.
paedophile then.
Okay, wait, could you reverse that? Because I think they've just said the exact opposite shit.
Well, yeah, she said,
A younger man? You're such a cougar. He traded her in for a younger model. You should.
yeah.
So one is
that-
complimentary towards a woman who gets a younger man, and one is actually not complimentary towards a man who gets a younger woman. Because trading her in for a younger model is actually not considered a good thing. People aren't
Yeah.
praising him for that. They're actually condemning him for that.
Yeah.
With that statement.
Yes.
Okay, what?
Well, just go with it. We're approaching the
Okay.
crescendo.
Okay, guys. We're going to have this one standard over here, and this one's for the women. And then all the way over here, we're going to have another standard for men. It'll work out perfectly. It's equality.
Yeah.
Just as long as feminists get determining the standards, it's equality, Teal there. And you cannot question the standards they determine, because that would be misogyny. Even if you ask them, do these standards hurt women that you feminists are upholding? They will say, you can't say that because that's misogyny.
Mm-hmm.
Or they won't even answer the question. Actually, I've tried multiple times to get a feminist to answer that question. And they usually
There you
just dodge. And dodge
They-
and dodge. Like they're in dodgeball.
They are. All right, moving on. We're trying to reach the crescendo, the giant orgasm of oppression.
I'm sure exists.
All right, we're all fapping like mad, hoping that it will be a glorious, glorious outpouring of splooge.
You should feel grateful you were catcalled.
Do you feel fulfilled?
Yeah, you should, lady.
Yeah, at that point in time. Whoa!
It's not even a comment on you in particular. It's a comment on somebody of your age. Even Jessica Valenti wrote a fucking article about how she misses being catcalled now that she's older and doesn't get it anymore.
Didn't she immediately retract that and say, no, I didn't?
No, she changed the title
Oh,
of
okay.
the. She changed the title.
It became how she was annoyed at society for making her miss it, even though it was actually her personally who is upset by the fact that men don't find her attractive anymore.
Yeah, she blames the patriarchy for her feeling kind of a little bit bummed out that men don't find her as attractive anymore.
Well, shouldn't she be happy that they're no longer objectifying her, like turning her into an object without any feelings?
Well, but it's because she acknowledges that she has internalized enough patriarchy that it brainwashed her into kind of sort of enjoying being catcalled a little bit, just enough that she would miss it when it was gone. See, it was all that societal programming and brainwashing and patriarchy,
This encouragement to completely abdicate one's own agency in one's life, that is not, I want to say patriarchy, but that isn't toxic to women. Like, it's literally saying the patriarchy brainwashed me to think certain things that I can't stop. Like, how submissive. I mean, this is an affectation of submissiveness. It's she may say, oh, I don't want to submit, but she's still saying, oh, I have to. You have to ravage me. I can't help it. Don't take me like that, patriarchy.
Like, I don't understand that, like, I do understand as a 45-year-old woman, right, who had arguably what would be considered a perfect body when I was younger, right, and I no longer do. And I absolutely 100% understand that when you get male attention when you're younger, you get used to having it, even if it's sometimes annoying, and sometimes it is annoying, right? And then when you hit an age where that starts to go away, you miss it, because even when it was annoying, it was still, it was still a way of knowing that you were attractive. And I think that we all, I mean, look at the whole fat phobic body shaming or body positivity movement, right? That's all about women wanting to feel attractive in the bodies that they have and wanting somebody to validate to them that, yes, you're an attractive person even though you're like freaking 300 pounds, right? That's what that is. It's a request for validation that, yes, you are an attractive person, right? We all have that. We all like to hear or like to know that we're attractive people. Like, I don't understand why this has to involve some kind of patriarchal brainwashing.
Okay, I'm going to mute you.
Okay.
Well, because it has to. Because women have to be totally and utterly unself-determining reactions to men. Even if we're talking about men completely in the abstract. The male particle. They have to be totally and completely reactions to the theoretical particle of maleness that controls everything. That underlines the substrate of reality. Because otherwise our world doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, you said it in the last video, women are just the substrate upon which men write their actions.
Yeah, that's the way that by promoting this attitude that women are just a substrate upon which men write their actions, literally saying things like, the patriarchy made me feel sad when I lost my attractiveness, when I became part of the category of people most people consider unattractive, which is old people. The patriarchy did it. This feminist way of reducing women down to a substrate upon which men write their actions, only if they're negative, of course, that is somehow progressive. That's going to change. That's going to challenge gender roles. That's going to make it better for everyone. Everyone! If we could only just completely and utterly reduce any possible perception of women's effect on their reality, or men's reality, or anyone else's reality, or its society, or their own ability to have any positive change in their own life. If we could only just get rid of all of that victim blaming, which is essentially acknowledging women's agency in any circumstance, if we could just disavow any perception that women have any potency or ability to act, if we could just do that, the world would be a better place. It would be a more feminist place. If we could just be able to reduce every woman's actions and choices to actually being projections of some man's actions and choices, the world would be saved! And it would be so progressive! If women and men occupied different categories of existence entirely, we would end gender roles as we know it.
Yep.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Teal Deer, you want to follow that?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I don't think there's any point in trying to follow that one. I will find
Alright.
something in the next point, maybe. Apart from
Okay.
point out that, no, this woman should be grateful that she was catcalled. She really should.
Yeah, well, I think just even at her age, she should be.
Do you feel fulfilled that you were just a stay-at-home mom? Isn't
Different people have different levels of desire, expectation, and aspiration in life.
that's well, but it's
Okay.
also that what she's being asked is, do you have any regrets? Well, everybody gets asked that.
Everyone has regrets.
So
Okay.
everybody does, yeah. Okay, we're gonna.
Isn't that outfit a little young for you?
Yeah, I actually see a lot of women dressing way too young. It's like they're trying to. They are trying to cling to a youth that is no longer there, and therefore they are not aging gracefully, which does not involve surrendering, going quietly into that good night. It just means that you accept reality, and I have seen a lot of women dressing in ways that really, when you're 50, you shouldn't be dressing in an outfit from Forever 21. Even
But
if
again,
it says
how is this
21.
then also something that doesn't affect men? I mean,
Well,
Oh, I know.
it doesn't affect men because men's clothing choices don't really
they're
deviate
a lot
much.
more limited.
Yeah, and they don't really change from the time that they're 13 to the time that they're like 83. They're basically wearing the same clothes. They don't ever
Well,
get a period of time where they get to show off their youthful body. So they don't get judged if they try to reclaim that youthfulness. Oh, yes, they do. That's right. Nobody wants to see. I don't think anybody wants to see Hugh Hefner in a Speedo right now.
I mean, also,
Well-
hasn't anyone ever heard of, like, the midlife crisis? Some of which involves, trying to dress like you're still in your late teens and 20s and is something that affects men.
buying a really impractical car,
Yeah.
not a
Like, this is
minivan,
not
theater.
exclusive to women.
Yeah, no. You're getting a toupee.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm running
yeah.
out of hope that there's going to be some sort of crescendo.
Yeah, I don't
You're
think
in the
so.
acceptance stage.
Do you want me to open the door, Kat?
I'm pretty sure there's no crescendo here. Okay, I'm moving on.
You still wear makeup. How adorable.
It is kind of adorable when a woman your age still wears makeup. I don't. I gave up on that a while ago.
You know what?
Is it
my
necessarily the makeup or just the style?
Just incidentally, my cat is was trying to squirm under about a 4-inch gap underneath the door. And so I said to her, I think this isn't going to work for you. And then I opened the door. I guess I just shamed her by recognizing a reality instead of respecting her aspirations to try to squeeze herself through a 4-inch gap.
You should have let her
And-
get. Actually, here's something that's good for a laugh. Trim her whiskers. Just cut like 1.5 inches off of them.
Karen.
And she'll get stuck everywhere.
Karen.
What? I'm
No.
I'm just
No.
making a suggestion.
No. I'm not trimming my cat's whiskers.
Because they use their whiskers as a guide to figure out.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm not. I'm also sure that it's probably painful.
To trim their whiskers?
Yeah, because they probably have nerve endings in those things if they can use them to feel out spaces. Or maybe they
No,
don't have nerve endings. It's just uncomfortable for them to feel them clipped.
They have nerves in the follicles in the roots, but they don't have nerves in the actual hairs. So, but yeah, no, it was just a suggestion. Could be good for a few laughs.
I don't want to laugh at my cat.
Who doesn't want to laugh at their cat? God.
And then,
Right up, Allison.
okay, I'm sure that there's a crescendo in here.
There is no crescendo.
You must have been beautiful when you were younger.
There you go. That was the crescendo.
That was it?
Yeah, you
Well,
must
I
have been...
don't know about anyone else here, but I still would.
Yes, that was it. Whoops. Fuck off. I don't want to watch it again.
I can't, like, there was nothing in that. Nothing! What the fuck were they trying to prove? How much they expect women to abdicate their own agency, to treat minuscule problems as enormous obstacles in their lives? Is that what they were trying to prove? The total and utter moral bankruptcy of their fucking gender role system that they are actually trying to push on everyone?
I think so.
I mean, I might have taken a few leaps there that nobody follows, so I don't know.
No, it's just ridiculous shit. It's just like a whole bunch of like nothing, and somehow it's something, according to.
Somehow
it's 48 questions and mild inconveniences and possibly slightly awkward questions that some women find slightly annoying when they're not in the mood for them.
Yeah. Pretty much.
That is the oppression that women face in the first world.
Yes.
Slight annoyances. We're basically scraping the bottom of the barrel.
We are. Are we gonna watch TV?
Sorry, you want to watch the chicken? Do you want to watch this thing that I can't pronounce?
Okay.
All right, let's do the chicken lady.
Oh
okay,
God,
I don't know.
It's 5 minutes. How long is this going to be?
I don't know what clip it is, but let's just see.
No, this might be
Dave Hall from the Kids in the Hall, and after the sketch, I'll be sitting down with Chris Hardwick to talk about the show.
No going home. What is it?
It's me, Max Davis. I answered your ad in the personals. We have a date tonight.
Oh, yeah? Are you my date?
Yes, I am.
Well, I bet your mother gave you a name. What is it?
I said it was Max.
Oh, yeah? Come on in, Max.
No.
What? You want to eat dinner out here? I did last night.
So, you're, not from Toronto?
No, just north of it. Come on in.
You fucking what, mate?
Don't ask questions.
What are you?
God, you're not too bright. I'm a chicken lady.
A chicken lady.
Yeah, and I love life. Do you love life?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you might, because I put that in my personal ad. Chicken lady loves life.
Gee, I never took that literally. I never...
No?
Never really took chicken lady literally.
No, you're not too bright.
No.
Just the way I like them. See, that's my mom. And that's my dada. He left town the day I was born. They say he ain't never coming back.
Papa was a Rolling Stone, huh?
Let's get a look at you. God, you're different.
Oh?
Yeah, all the other guys are usually a lot bigger. But I got tired of paying for it. Darn near couldn't make my rent this month.
Well, I guess it adds up.
Because it adds up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Guess it would.
Yeah, it adds up. So do you like the place?
Oh, yeah, sure, it's really nice. I can't stay.
Sure you can. Have a seat. So, what is it you do?
I'm a banker.
God, you must be thirsty. Can I get you a beer? Would you like to just drink out of the toilet?
A beer.
Okay, sure. Hey, would you like to sign my yearbook?
Oh, no, thank you.
High school was hell for me.
Oh, really?
All the other kids tease me.
Wow, imagine that.
If you want to stay in my good books, don't call me a bird brain. If you want to stay in my good books, which you do. Gravel and grubs. I love to eat my gravel and grubs. I made you an omelet. I figured you might not like bugs.
Oh, thank you. Good.
Of course it's good. Because they're fresh, straight out of my body and onto your plate. Wait, don't go. Oh, darn. Oh, hi, Susan. Oh, say, that's a nice punch you got there. Mine ran away. I know what you're going to do in there. Gotta get laid, gotta get laid. Oh, great, $50. Hello, Studline? Is Gunther working tonight? Oh, good, I like him a lot. Send him up. Yep, same address.
Are there particular types of sketches you like? Because Dave, there were a lot of them where you would just...
Oh, yeah,
All right, we did it.
We chased away about 150 people. In the
My
process.
brain is now full of fuck. What the hell did I just watch?
Welcome to Canada and Karen's Jam Cave.
Hey, the chicken lady was never my favorite.
Yeah, but she is still amusing.
She was still amusing, but yeah, no. I don't know if you are familiar with Dave Foley, Teal Deer.
Nope.
Oh, he's the guy he's a Canadian comedian who he had this, was one of the 5 team members on this very, very popular skit that was produced by Lorne Michaels, who does Saturday Night Live as well. And he married a woman and had 2 kids with her, and at some point he got onto a show with Phil Hartman from Saturday Night Live and Joe Rogan and a bunch of other fairly good, Andy Dick, right, called News Radio, and he was the lead of that show, and so he was making like flippin' great, it was a hit sitcom, made flippin' great fucking wads of cash, and his wife chose essentially the peak of his career to divorce him. His child support and alimony were set at something like $28,000 a month. And then after Phil Hartman was killed, I think the show stayed on the air for another season and a half, and then it was canceled. And then all of a sudden he couldn't make these egregious $28,000 a month maintenance payments to his wife and kids. So he was actually, for about 5 years there, he was like, yeah, I can't actually set foot in Canada because here's what they're going to do to me if I do. The moment I get off the plane, I will be arrested. I will be thrown in jail for 6 months, and they will demand that at the end of that 6 months that I pay the $750,000 fucking dollars or whatever, $500,000 that I owe, plus everything that has accrued during that time, plus fees and penalties, right? And if I can't, they'll keep me in jail for another 6 months and then demand that I pay it. And if I can't, right, so he's like, essentially it is a life sentence behind bars if I can't come up with this money, which I can't. Right? And meanwhile, his ex and the 2 kids are vacationing in fucking Morocco and shit.
So essentially, he got massively screwed.
He got massively fucking reamed. And I think they've resolved it a little bit now, because I think he has actually been able to come back to Canada without ending up, immediately in prison. But yeah, it's that was the guy, the date, the guy who dated the chicken lady was Dave Foley when he was very young, very young.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to mute you, Karen. But yeah, he was the one who was playing opposite the chicken lady, playing as her date. Karen, you can unmute yourself now.
But
Oh,
yeah,
shoot.
it was really awful. It was a really awful story. He told the whole thing to Joe Rogan on his podcast one day. And one of the really, really awful things is he said that after he married his wife, the only times they ever had sex was when she wanted a kid.
That's awful.
Yeah, and so was the echo. Oh, wait, the echo seems to have subsided. So, now that we've introduced you to Dave Foley, Kids in the Hall, and the Chicken Lady, shall we,
I think our work here is done.
Yeah, I think we shall disappear into the night, into the Canadian.
There was no giant orgasm of oppression.
No, that was extremely. I was wrong, and I'm pissed that they didn't. They were working up to a crescendo. What? Sorry?
Are you unfulfilled?
I feel unfulfilled. Well, certainly, I was like hoping that they'd have a point. I mean, it doesn't seem like they don't even need a point anymore. They doesn't even need to work into anything anymore. It could just be a bunch of lukewarm complaints about nothing.
Clearly, your unfulfillment is the patriarchy's fault, Allison.
Yes, it's all the patriarchy's fault.
Where it belongs.
I'll go tell my husband that I'm unfulfilled, since he's the patriarchy or some shit. Well, he's the patriarchy, really.
The platriarchy.
Yeah, the platriarchy. Okay. All right. Thank you, Teal Dare, for coming on.
For coming and putting up with us for so long.
Yeah.
It's been, how fucking long has it really
almost
been? Like
3 hours.
Fucking hell.
If you include the beginning of the show, I can't believe that he tolerated us for so long. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey?
Oh, you are fellow woodland creatures, so it's actually been quite enjoyable.
Yeah, Karen is definitely a woodland creature of some description. She's a yeti. She just cleans up nice. She cleans up nice.
I do. I shave my whole body every day.
Nair.
Yeah.
That patriarchal oppression is strong.
Yes, with her. Okay, so thank you, Teal Deer, for coming on, and thank you for everyone who's listening and who enjoyed this. And once again, if you enjoy listening us rant, consider subscribing. Or, if you want to see the badger grow to enormous size and send its enemies screaming before us and hear the lamentations of their women, consider becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. Every little bit helps. I don't know where to go with this. Karen, help me here.
That's www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. Give it to us.